out with you. Sports Radio 94, WIP. Jack Fritz behind the glass. John Johnson with us tonight on the updates. And you guys on the phone lines. 888-729-9494. That is how you get aboard. A little later on in the show, we'll talk to Matt Gelb of The Athletic as the Phils open up Grapefruit League play. We've got a giveaway for you tonight. A little Nick Foles conversation to get into. But we got to start with Titletown, or at least it feels like that. It feels like Philadelphia right now is like the teams forgot how to lose. I left last night. I was listening to John on the way home, and he told me the Sixers won that game because I walked out and looked like they were going to lose that game. The Flyers won. The Phillies look optimistic, and we know the Eagles won a championship. Everything is coming up Philadelphia. And the other night we talked about like what's next and what could happen. And one of those things that came up the other night in the conversation of just how good things are right now and where this city is going. And honestly, I don't know when this losing is going to end. I don't know. I mean, these teams are 14-0-1. And then, by the way, not that this counts, not that this is the same thing. Drexel came back, was like the biggest comeback in the history of Division I basketball. If you play a sport in Philadelphia right now, you're doing pretty well. And the big four teams in this city are all on the upswing, up and up and up. And I can actually sit here and tell you I can envision a golden age of Philadelphia sports on the horizon. And that's with projection. That's with a little hope in there. That's with a little euphoria still in there from the Eagles. But it's also with a little reality. And it could be with a little extra reality if something that came out today comes to fruition. Look, we usually start with things that have just happened. We usually react to things that just happened. Tonight I want to react to something that could happen. Bill Simmons, who we all know, the guy who used to be known as the sports guy, now the ring, or whatever you want to call Bill Simmons. He's a good NBA guy. He knows what he's talking about a lot of times. Sometimes it's mostly opinions, but Bill Simmons has tapped into the NBA and tapped into a lot of people around the NBA. Today, because they're doing, I think it's like LeBron versus Jordan week over at the Ring or whatever the reason was. A conversation erupted and a column came out from Bill Simmons on LeBron James's future. And you know what? Instead of explaining it, I'm just going to read this one little paragraph to you. Because this, if we're talking about a golden age in Philadelphia sports, this would deliver it. This would be the thing that pushes this city and these teams over the top. We already know the Eagles are going to be good for a while. I think the Phillies are on the upswing. The Flyers look good and young. And we know the Sixers with Embiid and Simmons have a chance to be special. But how about maybe guaranteeing special? This is from Bill Simmons. There's been some growing LeBron to Philly buzz. He goes on. In 2018, and this is a kind of a thought process. In 2018, LeBron James signed with Philadelphia to build one last mini-dynasty with Embiid and Simmons. He vowed to play 7 more years until he turned 40 and vowed to make it his last stop. The column was about LeBron's future, where he's going to go. And it basically boiled down to the Philadelphia 76ers, the Los Angeles Lakers. And oh, by the way, the idea involved bringing Paul George here too. If this is possible, if it is remotely possible to get LeBron James here, first, it's the biggest gift this city has ever gotten. It is the biggest gift this city has ever gotten in the history of sports. And I'm including Nick Foles and what just happened in the Super Bowl. Because bringing LeBron James here changes everything about the NBA. Not just the Sixers, the NBA. And if you think Embiid and Simmons are good now, if you add LeBron James and Paul George to the mix, this city becomes the epicenter for the NBA. If this is possible, the Sixers have to move heaven and earth to make it happen. And I don't know what that entails. I don't know what it would take. Look, LeBron James, he's his own team, basically, when he rolls in. This wouldn't be like another free agent. This wouldn't be like just some guy. We know that. It's his own team. He would come and take the place over. And you know what? I'm okay with that. Because if there's one thing we all have to agree on, and I don't expect every one of you out there to say, yeah, I want LeBron James. In fact, I put up a poll on Twitter before the show tonight just to gauge some thoughts on where you're at with the idea of the Sixers signing LeBron James. And I'd say more than 1 out of every 5 people, more than 20%, I haven't looked since I just signed on, but more than 20% before 6 o'clock said they didn't want LeBron James with the Sixers. I don't understand any thought process that doesn't land one of the 2 greatest players of all time here in Philadelphia. I don't know what the odds are of this happening. I don't know if it's 10%, 20, 30, 40, 50, 5. I don't know where it is. But I know this. If there's a chance this could happen, and there is some connection here. I mean, think about it. The Clutch Sports thing, he loves Ben Simmons. They're in the same agency. If his legacy really, and this was Bill Simmons' whole point, if his legacy is based on winning titles and trying to catch Michael Jordan for GOAT status, well, there might not be a better long-term situation to win and win and win and win. Unless he was going to go to the Warriors, which, I mean, at that point, just shut the NBA down. Because there's no way you can have a league if every one of the best players on the same team. Because he's their one folly right now is beating LeBron every year. So that wouldn't work. Outside of that, there's a couple spots that make sense, but maybe no spot makes sense more than the Philadelphia 76ers. I don't know if we've caught on to the gravity of what this means. The best players in the NBA, this good, all-time great players, simply don't just pop up and show up at your doorstep. And if the Sixers did have LeBron James, and the Paul George thing just amplifies it even more, but even if they just had LeBron James, Joel Embiid, and Ben Simmons, the Sixers would play in the NBA Finals year over year. I mean, LeBron James has gone to 7 straight finals. You can make a pretty decent case he's going to go to his 8th this year, even though his team is all weird and changed and it was dysfunctional in the middle of the season. It wouldn't be pretty sometimes. It wouldn't be clean because you'd have players you like here, young players traded away. But it would be the biggest thing in the NBA. The NBA epicenter would live in Philadelphia. Every game would be must-watch moments. Forget just television. Like, you wouldn't want to miss a moment. And they'd win. And they'd win. And they'd win. I think we're in a golden age. I think we're on the verge of a golden age where all these teams are going to be good at the same time. All these teams are going to compete at the same time. But outside the Eagles, there's no guarantees here for titles. I mean, the Eagles, and there's no guarantee for the Eagles either to win more. I think they can, but there's no guarantee to win titles. Flyers are going to be good, sure. Will they win a title? I have no idea. The Phillies, I think, are going to be good. Are they going to win a World Series? I have no idea. The Sixers are going to be very good because if you have a player as good as Joel Embiid and he's healthy, you're going to be very good. But the Sixers, as they're constituted with these 2 players, and I'm just going to leave Fultz to the side for right now, they're not good enough to win an NBA title. They're going to need to add something else. Who that is, when that is, none of us have that answer. But in the NBA, you can't just win with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. I don't think you can. You're going to need something else. If that something else is LeBron James, roll out the red carpet and make it happen. Go do it. And I don't understand. Look, there are some of you out there. I know it. I know you're out there. Where you're listening to me right now. You're saying, "Nah, I don't want him. Don't like him. It's a circus when he comes in. It's a waste. He'll leave in 2 years. He leaves teams in shambles." I hear you. I've heard it. I don't get it though, because I think in the NBA more than any other sport, it's the hardest one to win in. It's harder to win in the NBA than any other sport, and I say that even with football and even with the Eagles. Harder to win than in any other sport. And in basketball, if you have LeBron James, if you're one of the 2 greatest players of all time, you're going to win. The Sixers will play in the NBA Finals and probably win with LeBron James. If they don't get him, which very well might not happen, but if they don't get him, and they don't go after this and entertain this, there's no guarantee they're going to get there anyway. 888-729-9494, pound 9494. On your AT&T Verizon wireless cell phones. This is out there. The way it was framed is LeBron to Buzz Philly is growing. And it's not going to stop now. Especially as this Sixers team ascends a little bit. They are 7th right now in the Eastern Conference. They won last night in Chicago. They're going to probably end this season somewhere between 6th and 4th in the Eastern Conference. That'd be my guess. If they play well in a first-round playoff series, they don't have to win it. But if they play well and they finish with 45-ish wins, and maybe they play LeBron in the first round, and they give him a series, or they play, Embiid shows dominance against his team, this thing's going to grow and grow and grow. And remember last time LeBron was a free agent, and the time before that, what kind of a circus it was, and all the teams that thought they were involved, and the way everyone was locked on every minute of that. You want to call it a sweepstakes or whatever you want to say that was? LeBron James is going to be a free agent after this year. I have no idea where he's going to go. I'd guess the Lakers. That'd be my guess. But if he doesn't choose the Lakers, and Bill Simmons highlighted this in his piece today, there aren't many options. There aren't many teams right now that have a ton of cap space. There aren't many teams right now out there that could give him young star players that he could go win championships with. Unless he wants to completely just gut a team and build it in his image again. There's not many perfect spots. And I don't even know if the Sixers qualify as a perfect spot. But there's a chance this could happen. There is an absolute chance this could happen. Yet I don't know if everyone out there wants him. There's an anti-LeBron feel for a lot of NBA fans. And you might be one of them. You don't like, if you want to go back to the decision, whatever. You want to tell me that he commandeers all the air in the room? He does. He leaves teams in shambles? In a sense, he does. It wouldn't maybe be a long-term thing and he'd leave again? He probably will. I'll listen to your concern. But I don't think it's going to change my mind. Because if you have this player, if you have LeBron James, it absolutely changes everything about the Philadelphia 76ers. And I think, you know what? He could come here for a couple years. They can win a title. He could go on his merry way somewhere else. And Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons could be A-okay the rest of their careers. Kind of show them the way. 888-729-9494. Do you want LeBron? I'll put it out there as simple as that. I would turn heaven and earth over to get LeBron James here. Go get him. These kind of opportunities do not come around every day. Yeah, you got to beat, to be the best, you got to beat the best whole thing. Or the best could join you. And then you're the best. 888-729-9494. Let's talk to Jonathan up first tonight in Arbors. What's up, Jonathan?
Hey, guys. How you doing? Thanks for taking my call 2 days in a row.
You got it, man. What's up?
Hey, so I'll be the first one to say that, I was not a fan of LeBron when he was first drafted in Cleveland and when he went to Miami. I mean, that was such a circus. I mean, I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, it was not done well. I think we'll say that.
Right. It was not done well. And whether he orchestrated that or if it was like the media that really orchestrated that. I mean, I remember seeing him on those chairs talking to whoever saying, I'm going to take my skills to Miami. I was like, God, I really hate this guy. But ever since he came back to Cleveland, I've kind of gotten on LeBron because he's loyal to it.
Well, he's loyal there now, and he was. Jonathan, I'm going to let you go because the connection there, we'll put you on, I'll make your phone get together. The connection wasn't good. I could tell you're kind of turning on LeBron a little bit, and in a good way. But I'm seeing tweets here. He's a cancer. He rips apart locker rooms. Here's what he does. Let's just call this what it is. Here's what he does. He goes to the NBA Finals every single year. He's one of, if not the greatest player in the history of basketball. And if that player looks at this town and this team as a place that he could finish his career, and he's not close to done yet either, then I would roll out the red carpet. And if it means this isn't Joel Embiid's team anymore, and it's not Ben Simmons' team anymore, and it's LeBron James' team, then it's LeBron James' team. This isn't some superstar. This is LeBron James. This is the most popular athlete in the world and the best basketball player in the world. 888-729-9494. Do you want LeBron here? And when we get back, I want to touch on this because I think for some people, this is a real thing. Does it matter how you win, who you win with, and how you build a team? It's never mattered to me, but I think it matters to a lot of people. We'll talk about that, and I'll tell you how you get involved. We have a 4-pack of tickets tonight to the Phillies Sports Card and Collectible Show. I think you're going to like this one, and we'll tell you how you get involved for those tickets. That's coming up next weekend at the Valley Forge Casino Resort. 888-729-9494. That is how you hop in. Sports Radio 94, WIP. 622 on a Friday night. Joe Giglio hanging out with you. Sports Radio 94, WIP. Yeah, how about that? I heard John Johnson, the up there, mention today on WIP at 1 o'clock, we had Phillies baseball on the air. It's back. It's real. Grapefruit League, Phillies baseball, and more of it coming this weekend, so I like that. Matt Gelb of The Athletic will join us later on the show, talk about those Phils down in spring training. We're talking about LeBron James right now. LeBron and the idea of him coming to the Sixers this summer, which has gained traction. I remember the end of last summer, these stories started to come out, like the thought process, and you started to look at Cap. Remember Zach Lowe of ESPN, who's he's as good as it is in terms of being tapped in and having opinions that really are really kind of spot on what the league's thinking. He wrote something, I think in maybe early this season or last summer, about why the Sixers were hoarding max cap space for this now coming summer. It was like people around the NBA are wondering, what are they doing? And then you started seeing the teams that will have cap space this summer. LeBron's not re-signing with the Cavs, and it all starts to come together. And today, Bill Simmons wrote the piece on why LeBron James should choose the Sixers and why he should end up here to try to overtake Michael Jordan as the GOAT, as the greatest of all time. And I'm all in. I am as in as you can be because you don't say no to a player this good. You don't say no. 888-729-9494. Jack Fritz, you don't say no to a player this good.
In most scenarios, I would completely agree with you. LeBron's not like most players.
No, he's better than most.
It's not, he's the second greatest player of all time, in my humble opinion, and the greatest basketball player I've ever seen.
He's on the path to the greatest career of all time.
Yes.
He's having it.
Yeah, I mean, in all fairness, Michael Jordan is probably the best NBA player of all time just because of the rings and undefeated and his unbridled competitiveness.
His peak.
Yeah. LeBron's averaged 28, 7, and 7 for 15 years and never gotten hurt.
And he's not slowed down yet?
He's having probably his most efficient season ever in year 15.
Yet you're not 100% in.
Listen, adding LeBron is not like adding other players. LeBron comes with a bunch of baggage. And I like our team.
Yeah, I like the team better if they have LeBron James.
I don't think it's so bad that I want to see this team try to win it organically.
You know what? I've gotten a lot of those tweets in the last hour or so, and I never understood that organic thing. I never did. Like, I don't think it matters how you win, but people always, sometimes I feel like I'm in the minority there. Like, does it matter how you win a championship? I don't think it does. If you win and your team wins, and the laundry is who we root for, not the players, the laundry. Like, you root for the Sixers. Who's wearing the jersey? Like, Moses Malone came here from somewhere else. This year with the Eagles. I heard Ike saying it during Marks and Reese. They had a lot of guys come in. Alshon Jeffrey was a top receiver that came in. He was a star for this team. I never thought it mattered. The Phillies, they won with a homegrown core, but the Phillies don't win that championship and don't have that run without Jason Worth, Shane Victorino. They popped up. I understand LeBron is a different animal, but I'll have the same take next winter with Bryce Harper. If you could get the best, you get the best. 888-729-9494. Reggie is up next on WIP. Hey, Reggie.
Hey, I, for the life of me, can't understand why anybody wouldn't want him. It is the most nonsensical sports argument I've ever heard. These things that I'm hearing about, winning it organically and such. No one does that anymore. That's a thing of the past. And this guy, I don't know what baggage he brings. He doesn't bring a lot of stuff off the court.
He brings nothing off the court. Guy's never gotten in trouble once in his life.
Exactly. He's not a wife beater. He's raising his kids. I don't understand it. Look, when a guy's that good, he doesn't get to the finals 7 times by being meek. You know what I mean?
It's not an accident. It's no accident how he gets there every year.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And I for one, would love what it would do. I think you called it. The epicenter of the NBA would lie in Philadelphia once again.
It would, and it's been a long time since this happened. Reggie, we appreciate the call. And with that, you think about what the Eagles are now. We've been talking about this, every minute of the day for the past couple months. The Eagles are now the kings of the NFL. And I think the Eagles are about to embark on a run where they will be one of the epicenters of the NFL. It's hard to be the only one in the NFL because of parity, but they're going to be good for a while. And the NFL and playoff games and Fox's game of the week and Sunday Night Football, and it will all come through here very often. It could be like that, but on steroids with basketball. Miami was the epicenter of the NBA. Now, the last couple of years, it's been Cleveland and Golden State. Philadelphia could be that. And as far as the organic thing, I think it is harder to win in the NBA than any other sport, a championship. I love Joel Embiid. I really like Ben Simmons. They're going to be good for a while. They're going to be really good. But there is no guarantee those two are going to win a championship. Not even close to a guarantee.
Do you think LeBron's patient?
No. And he shouldn't be. He's 32.
Okay.
That's part
People
of
are assuming that he's going to be coming here and be perfectly patient and be perfectly fine. We're letting Embiid grow, letting Simmons grow. If you like those players, you might be having to say goodbye to him.
He's also not stupid.
He is, well, sure. He might be the worst GM in the league, but...
You know what, though? If his moves lead to finals appearances, he's not that bad.
It's because of him, though. It's not because of the moves he makes.
Right, but whatever, who cares? I don't care how they get to the finals. He's not trading Joel Embiid away. Would he trade Dario Saric away? Probably.
Yes.
Would he trade Markelle Fultz if anyone would have him? Yeah. I don't know if anyone would say on this team. I think he seems like TJ, though, because he wanted to trade for him last year. I don't know if anybody besides Ben and Embiid would be here. And I'm okay with that. I don't care. Go win the title. That's me. Mike in King of Prussia. What's up, Mike?
Hey, I got to disagree with you. I do not want any parts of LeBron. And, like, the reason, because he would want to play GM, and he's terrible at it. And, like, it'll just be contracts to, like, terrible players. And, like, I don't want that. And another reason is the House winning the Super Bowl this year was great, but it was even better because we got to beat Tom Brady in his stupid face. So I would love to get a chance to beat LeBron and his stupid, I'm the best. I hate that guy. I hate him. I don't want him to ruin our team. I don't want him trading away our players that we worked so hard to get. I don't want this guy on the team. He's a punk. I don't want him.
He's a punk. Oh, he's one of the great players of all time, but he's a punk, Mike.
No, because he's a mercenary. All he does is go from good team to good team to try and win a title.
Oh, come on, Mike. Mike, he's played for two franchises in 15 years.
But now going to be a third. There's going to be a third.
Mike, that's the way but that's the way the league works. That's the way every sport works. Now, who's not a mercenary?
Jordan was never a mercenary.
Wait a second. Michael Jordan played in the 1980s and 1990s. You think if he played today, he'd play for the Bulls his whole career? And he didn't play for the Bulls his whole career anyway. Do you think he played for one team?
Jordan would never have run from team to team to team trying to meet up with people. He would have expected them to come to him. Not this, oh, hey, let's go to Miami. Let's go to Cleveland. Let's do this. Let's do that. I can't respect any of it, and that's why I don't want him here.
Okay, Mike, you don't have to have him. And we'll see if Dario Saric leads you to a title. Like, come on with that. These are the guys you work so hard for. You work so hard to build a team capable of winning. That's what I always thought the process was about. Acquiring superstars. The easiest way and the most efficient way is through the NBA draft. Sam Hinkie was absolutely right about many things, almost everything. That, number one. And he got one. And he probably has two now with Ben Simmons. He didn't draft him, I understand that. You don't have to call and tell me that. But they wouldn't have been in a position to draft Ben Simmons if not for what Sam Hinkie did. But then there's also cap room and tradable assets to get another one. And the funny part is, I think if I brought this topic up and it was just the simple idea of Paul George signing here, no one's going to call in and say, I don't want Paul George. Part of this whole thing, for some people, is that you don't like LeBron James. Like, that guy just called LeBron James a punk. Punk.
But I love LeBron.
I know, not you. Not you.
But adding Paul George is not the same as adding LeBron. It's better.
But isn't it the same
kind of better?
It's the same principle. The same principle as you bringing in a mercenary, a superstar mercenary. It doesn't matter to me. Go win. And I will sit in this chair next fall, and I will say the same thing about Bryce Harper. And you can tell me he's a punk too. And he'll be a punk that hits 50 home runs at Citizens Bank Park. 888-729-9494. Joe in Elkins Park. How you doing, Joe?
What's up, guys? How are you?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Good. Not to bash the previous caller, but I couldn't disagree more. My personal experience with LeBron James was the 2012 Summer Olympics. I didn't know anything about the guy. I know he was good prospect, but he represented the United States really, really well. And he was the talk of the town in London the whole Olympics and did a great job. So this punk stuff, I don't personally know where that comes from. And I think our rookie players could use a seasoned veteran, especially in the playoffs, to help guide them through it. So I think this is the guy. I think they should do what they got to do to get him. I don't know what they're going to have to give up. But all this bad mouthing LeBron, I think it's unwarranted in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's silly. You know, it's one thing if you don't love the way the NBA is now, and Joe, I appreciate the call. Mercenaries and free agency and all that. But to call him a punk is just silly. As far as what you have to give up, nothing. The Sixers could create max cap space this summer. Now, the Bill Simmons idea that spawned this conversation was also about adding Paul George. That would be trickier. And if LeBron wants that to happen, the Sixers are going to have to make it happen. My guess would be like a sign and trade type of thing, where the Sixers give up Covington and they give up Saric and they get back and picks and whatever, and they get back Paul George. But as far as just signing LeBron James, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do a single thing. You just sign him. He's a free agent. He can leave the Cavs after this summer, after the season ends. If he wants to play, if LeBron James wants to play here, he's going to play here. Well, I think we all agree on that. Like the Sixers are not going to say no. No NBA team would say no. It might be a headache at times. He might say, hey, look, this power forward who's only okay, he's part of Clutch Sports, we're going to sign him up. Maybe. But it also would take you all the way. That's what he does. 888-729-9494, pound 9494 on your AT&T Verizon wireless cell phones. All right, we'll come back. All your phone calls, especially these anti-LeBron people, always out there disrespecting a guy who's having the greatest career of all time. But along with that, along with all your phone calls, we have a 4-pack of tickets tonight to the Phillies Sports Card and Collectible Show. Coming up next weekend, Friday, March 2nd through Sunday, March 4th at the Expo Center of Valley Forge Casino. Carson Wentz is going to be there, Nick Foles, Alshon, Fletcher Cox, many more. Here's how you get involved with that. When you call tonight and give us your opinion on this whole LeBron stuff, we're going to make you, this is a pretty big thing, so you have to become prepared. This is a pretty big deal. You get to be the sports czar, and you get to make one change, and that could be a rule change, it could be taking something back, whatever. One change to any sport you want. Because this week's been a lot of talk about change. The NBA is thinking about having a tournament for the 7 or 8 seed. The NBA is thinking about reseeding. And then Rob Manfred today, the commissioner of baseball, talked about expansion, which I don't think is a great idea. So change is in the air. You're the sports czar. You're the sports czar. You make a change. 888-729-9494. The best ones will get you in the running. 4-pack of tickets to the Philly Sports Card and Collectible Show. LeBron James, if he wants to come here, you roll out the red carpet. 888-729-9494. Sports Radio 94 WIP. .641 on a Friday night. Joe Giglio hanging out with you. Sports Radio 94 WIP. 888-729-9494. Pound 9494. That is how you get aboard. We're talking LeBron James. Bill Simmons thinks LeBron James' best bet to become the GOAT, to surpass Michael Jordan, is to sign here this summer to come to the Philadelphia 76ers. And despite some of your concerns, despite someone telling me LeBron James is a punk, which is just stupid, despite all that, and despite that the Sixers may not be in the greatest cap shape at some point in his tenure, despite that he might not stay here forever and might come for 2 years and leave or whatever, I'm all in. If you can get a player that special, we're not talking about just your normal great player. This is the guy that is having the greatest NBA career ever. Ever. You get him. And if you have LeBron James and you have Joel Embiid and you have Ben Simmons, I don't even care about the rest. You will go to the NBA Finals and you're probably going to win one. And that, if you tell me I have that, nothing else matters. I don't care how you win. 888-729-9494. Also, our little side topic here, 4-pack of tickets to the Philly Sports Card and Collectible Show. Next weekend, Valley Forge Casino Resort. You're the sports czar, and you get to make one change. Anything. It could be a rule change. It could be an esoteric change. It could be something off the walls. You get to make one change. You're in charge for one day. Best ones we get tonight, we'll put in the running, and then you might win those tickets next weekend. Let's talk to Jack and Wayne. What's up, Jack?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, buddy. What's up?
Not too much. I had to call in, first-time caller. I have this conversation maybe 4 times a week about LeBron, and I definitely want to weigh in on it here. Here's my piece. I have a few points to make, but mainly I am against LeBron coming here, and for these reasons. I'm not an idiot. I know all about LeBron. We don't have to get into the whole, oh, my God, automatic trip to the championship. Sure, great. My whole beef with it is LeBron comes, and this has probably been stated before, but he brings in a lot of media baggage that this team doesn't necessarily need, especially when the front office is just a complete mess with how they do things. We all know how the front office is handled these days with Fultz and whatnot. He brings in a lot of media baggage right there, but I don't like the idea that we are his puppet from that point on. when he, ultimately he'll sign a 1 year, maybe a 2 year deal if he hypothetically comes here, or a 1 year with an option for the second year.
Yep, he would basically hold the team hostage to make the moves he wants. Otherwise, he'd leave again.
Right. And this point has been said before, sure. But, it's a time when the whole homegrown argument, I think that's a valid argument to make because we have a time here where we have this great young core. Joel is clear-cut, the vocal leader, the heart of the team. LeBron comes in. It's immediate power struggle between the two of them. Joel is the type of personality he is where it's like, yeah, they might get along, but, when it comes down to it, I want to see this group grow with Joel being the leader, the backbone, the guy that other guys look to trust and to instill confidence in the team, which he so clearly has done thus far.
Sure, he has, and he's great at it.
Joel,
But you know what, Jack? And I understand your point, and I think a lot of people probably feel the same way, and I appreciate it. There's no guarantee that anything comes from this. Nothing. Right now, without the addition of another special player, what are the odds, or what are the percentages in your mind the Sixers are going to win a title with this core moving forward? 5%? 10%? It's hard to win in the NBA. The Warriors are not going anywhere for a long time. LeBron's not going anywhere, so wherever he goes, that team will be heard from. The Celtics are set up to be good for a while. Can the Sixers win something with this group without adding another guy? Maybe. But there's no guarantee. Like, we're all living in the moment, as we should, because it's fun. They're playing really well right now. They're going to be a middle of the East seed, and they're only going to ascend. But it's hard to win in the NBA. And as far as holding the organization hostage, guys, Brian Colangelo's in charge here. It's not exactly like they have the best GM on the planet that you can't push this guy aside because LeBron James is here. You're comfortable with the guy running this team right now? I'm not. I understand LeBron comes with some questions about the moves he makes and forces the team to make, but there's also no denying that it works. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care how much money the Cavaliers are paying Tristan Thompson. They go to the finals every year. They go to the finals every year.
So you're selling out for a finals run is basically what you're doing.
Not a run. He doesn't have one left. He might have 4 left.
Who's say he doesn't leave again?
But the premise I have is Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons aren't going anywhere. He wouldn't trade those guys.
LeBron is not a patient person.
But those guys, look, Joel Embiid's ready to win. So why would he trade him?
But Simmons, if he thinks that he's a bad fit,
well, he's his guy. You have to acknowledge that. They're in Instagram photos every 2 minutes.
It doesn't matter. Him and Dwayne Wade are guys too. He's traded him back to Miami
because he can't play anymore.
Just saying, if he and Simmons clash on the court, not off the court because they wouldn't do that, but on the court they don't match up well, Ben Simmons is gone. And then guess what? If LeBron decides to leave again in 2 years, then what are you left with? Embiid. And then your cupboard's bare once again.
Why are we talking about the negative? What about the positive? They might win the NBA title.
You have to think about the whole course of bringing in LeBron.
Sure you do.
You can't just sell yourself for a 1 finals run or 2 finals run, and then you have a 36-year-old small forward who eventually, I know he's fantastic, is going to wear down.
But there also is a scenario where he keeps Ben Simmons, he keeps Joel Embiid. I don't care about Dario Saric long term. Like, he's a good player, but I'm not going to lose sleep if they trade Dario Saric if LeBron comes here and brings Paul George in. I'm not going to lose any sleep. I'm just going to watch Paul George. There's also a positive to this. LeBron comes, they win finals, and then he leaves, and Joel and Ben are still here.
I don't think that's a likely scenario.
I do. I would be very surprised if he came in and traded or wanted to trade Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid. Dario, Fultz, yeah, those guys are probably collateral damage. I get it. Let's talk to Vince in Wilmington. What's up, Vince?
Hey, Joe, you're 100% spot on with this tonight. And the LeBron haters, every team tries to go for it. And you go back to 93 Phils, most beloved team in this before the 2008 Phillies. Everybody was a non-organic teammate. I think the only person who came homegrown was Dave Hollins, Kevin Stocker. You got Keith Primo coming. So teams go for it by getting players of that magnitude that can be a game changer for their team. And that would be the case with LeBron. And he'd probably come here knowing that he is obviously going to be the number one option, but he knows Joel and Ben are the kind of face of the team. He's not going to look to take that over. I think he would try to take a role where he's helping these guys get to a championship, knowing that he's the missing link.
Yeah, Vince, I think at some point, and I don't know this for a fact, but I think at some point he has to have a realization that he's going to slow down at some point. He can't, carry the load as much. And I think realistically, like, this place makes sense for him because he could eventually take a small step back on the court. And if he's got Ben and Joel next to him, that team would be unstoppable.
Right. He's at the point probably where he just wants to be in the finals with the guys around him that can get him there. And he's going to mentor these guys and show them the way to win. And they'll be in good shape for the long haul, like you said. When he takes off and decides to retire at 38, 39, they're in good shape.
I think it could be nothing but a positive for them if they all came together.
He mentored Kyrie, and then he left.
Yeah, he
loves mentoring the young guys and teaching them how to win, except they got to leave him to win.
Well, how many guys have left him? One, Kyrie Irving. How many other guys say, I don't want to play with LeBron James? Kyrie's kind of a different cat. Also, Kyrie Irving thinks the world is flat. So let's just leave Kyrie and his thought process out of this, all right? Anthony in Lansdowne. What's up, Anthony?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? Hilarious tonight that somebody actually called up, and he was probably about 5'8", and said LeBron James is a punk. I would love to see him stand in the lane while LeBron James was going coast to coast.
Yeah, he's probably the same guy who says LeBron James couldn't play in the 80s because he's not tough enough, which is always my favorite take.
So this is my thing, all right? I am an avid Jordan lover, 38 years old, lived through it, loved it. There's a lot of comparisons that people make, and this is not my main point. I just want to get it off my chest because I never get a chance to. Jordan played in a different era. He didn't play in the 7-game series. He didn't play in 7-game series in the playoffs. It was 5 games. We compare numbers to him and Kobe, LeBron, Kobe, and Jordan. You know, Kobe, it took 20 years for him to accumulate the points, for him to accumulate the accolades that Jordan had. It's going to take LeBron twice as long as it took Jordan to accumulate some of his accolades, and the undefeated thing in the finals can never be erased. With that being said, I still recognize sports, and I like to think I'm a little bit intelligent. LeBron James is the greatest basketball player in the world, and at the end of the day, he's probably going to be the greatest player to ever play the game. Okay? So my whole thing is you're an organization, and you're trying to win. So if you're trying to win, yes, you are going to take LeBron James because the East is garbage. Whatever team he's on, that's the team that's going to the finals, regardless to whether they win or lose. Everybody talks about the Raptors. You talk about the Celtics. You talk about all these other teams that are powerhouses and really good during the regular season. But when it's time to get down to the nitty-gritty, whatever team LeBron's on, that's the team that's coming out of the East.
That is absolutely, and it's been that way, Anthony, for a long time now. We appreciate the phone call. It's been a long time. Think about what life was like in 2009. What were you doing? Because that was the last time LeBron James' team didn't make the NBA Finals. That's a long time ago. And you know what? I know they've had a weird year and they just traded half their roster. If I had to bet right now, if I had to, he's probably going back to the finals again. Let's talk to Steve in Audubon. What's up, Steve?
Hey, how you doing? I really appreciate the conversation. I want to remind the guy that called LeBron James a punk. Where would the 1980 Phillies have been, okay, without Pete Rose, okay? I mean, the whole country, okay, you know, if he wasn't on your team, everybody hated him. But when he's on your team, it's a whole different ballgame. A punk, okay? There's no way LeBron James is a punk. LeBron James brings an NBA championship to Philadelphia. And if that's what it takes, guess what, okay? And how could you not want a guy like him to be an influence with the young players that we have, okay? The hinky players, okay? Guess what? It's a no-brainer, okay? And if LeBron James wants to come here, roll out the red carpet. Show the jet landing like, I can't remember who it was. Show the jet landing in Philadelphia. I'd be right there for it, and I'd love it. The only thing that would be bad is tickets would be impossible to get.
That's true. It would be like the Beatles are in every night. Steve, give us your change. You're the czar of sports. What do you want to do, Steve?
I want the fans' vote, okay, particularly in the NFL, to count way more than it did, okay, for who the coach of the year was, who the MVP was, okay? You know, there are guys that are voting that have got to be completely clueless, okay? And I want the vote to count, okay, not when the season ends. I want the vote to count, okay, when the season completely ends, when there's a true champion, okay? You know, it's just wrong, okay? You know, listen, we know that Doug Peterson got the the
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl
Yeah, but you know
trophy.
what? You're right, Steve.
Super Bowl
He
trophy.
should have been the coach of the year, Steve. I'm with you on that. My only little issue with that is we'd be biased, right? You're going to vote for your guy. You do need some sort of objective nature of voting for awards. If you let all the fans in, you're going to get the fans of with the team that's doing well. They're going to all come out in droves for their guy.
And here's another problem, is that whoever wins the championship is automatically going to get voted for coach of the year.
That's exactly why they do the regular season, because then there's no vote. It's the guy who wins the Super Bowl is probably going to win coach of the year. 888-729-9494. You're the czar of sports. What do you want to change? I'll give you one when we get back. And you know what? It always bothers me because it sets precedent, and I hate when there's dumb precedent set because then it ruins everything else. I'll tell you what mine is. And on the other side, along with all LeBron James Sixers conversation here, we have a new show promo. And maybe one of you listening right now, you might be a star in it. We'll play it for when we get back, right here on Sports Radio 94 WIP. 7:01 on a Friday night. Joe Giglio hanging out with you. I like this song. It brings everyone together here as we yell about LeBron James, even though I just don't understand any of you crazies out there who don't want one of the great players of all time. But we'll get to that in a second. Couple things here to start this hour. At 888-729-9494 is the phone number to join the show. And yes, those LeBron James Sixers, this is the way it was written by Bill Simmons today. There's been some growing LeBron to Philly buzz. Love that. I love that it's growing and it's getting bigger and bigger. And the more we go through the season, Sixers make the playoffs, maybe play the Cavs. LeBron's team doesn't win the title again. And all of a sudden this thing, boom, goes right into July and into free agency. And we will have a lot to talk about.
If you do want LeBron,
yes,
what is your goal for this postseason? You don't want him to win. He can't win because he'll probably stay at that point, right?
Lose at some point, maybe the finals to the Warriors, probably the most likely scenario, in a bad way, like they get swept.
Or they play the Sixers, lose in 7 games, and Embiid has an unbelievable series, and he says, okay, I need to go there.
I think even if the Sixers lost them and Embiid had that kind of series, that might be like, oh, I got to play with that guy.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. They would lose.
Yeah.
Like the Sixers would lose in 7.
Right.
And Embiid has an unbelievable series.
Yeah, I think if Embiid's dominance could convince him to come here, that'd be fun to watch. 888-729-9494. All right, we'll get back to the phone lines. I want all your czar thoughts. You're the sports czar. Give me something you would change. I'll give you one thing right now I would change. I want to take people out of the Hall of Fames. I don't know how many years you have to let go by. Like, let's say a guy was put in the Baseball Hall of Fame in the 1930s. How many people, like his wife's not around anymore. His kids might be, but they're getting old. Like, you're not really going to hurt too many people by doing this. And if he wasn't good and they made a mistake, get him out. Because in the Hall of Fame, I always take this historical precedent, because I always do this. I'm like, well, if that guy's in, this guy's got to be in. And whenever I eventually make the passionate Chase Utley belongs in the Hall of Fame conversation here, I'm going to use that. I'm going to use it. Other second baseman, he was better than him, and say, well, Chase Utley better be in then. But it is stupid. It's bad logic, but that's the way it's done. So I want people out of the Hall of Fame if mistakes were made. Jack, you have one? What do you want to do? Sports Star Jack.
Sports Star Jack. So I would be the complete overlord of all of this, and I would have subcommittees to vote on certain sports. And I would personally vet them, because I think it's ridiculous that we let sports writers and opinion makers pretty much decide who makes all NBA teams, and then that directly dictates how much money that guy makes.
They did. Well, Joel Embiid, he gets $5 million more a year for the rest of his contract if he makes first team All NBA this year, voted on by the writers.
Sure, and there's guys. There's a guy in Cleveland this year that only watches the Indians, because that has to be it. That only voted for Omar Vizquel and Jim Thome to make the Hall of Fame. That guy would be banned. He's not allowed to vote on the Hall of Fame anymore, because that's just an egregiously bad take that's making everything worse. So, it's like a regulation thing, like they do in soccer and over in Europe.
Premier League.
Yeah. You get banned for a year.
Bad voting and you're out. I like that. I like that. So both of ours are Hall of Fame takes so far. We'll hear yours.
All-Star games, like same thing with All-Star game. I'm taking the fan vote out. I don't care about the fan vote.
So you're the opposite. One of our callers last hour said he wants more fan votes.
Fans are bad.
Fans aren't bad.
Fans are great.
We're fans.
But fans are bad when it comes to voting for players.
Well,
especially for MLB. Like, there's a guy who hasn't played all year. Like, Jeter will probably still get All-Star game votes this year.
If they put him on the ballot, he'd win the voting. There's no doubt. 888-729-9494. Now, before we go back to lines, one more little thing here. So we have a new promo for this show, which we're proud about here. So This was taken and added to and kind of moved around by the great Sludge. We had a call the other night, and I think it was the beginning of the guy's phone call, and he called in. It was a good call. I forget what we talked about. But I enjoyed the call, and we heard it in the beginning. I was like, these are our listeners. Here is our new promo for the evening show.
The Joe Giglio Show.
Let me tell you, I can't be better off. I'm 50 years old. I have you guys. I'm a 4-for-4 guy. And guess what? We're Super Bowl champions.
You've been starved of this championship. The Joe Giglio Show. Monday through Friday night, 6 to 10 on Sports Radio 94. WIP.
That's perfect. Doesn't get better than that. He's got us. He's got the Eagles, 4-for-4 guy. And he's listening to WIP. I love it. 888-729-9494. Jason in Newark is up next on WIP. Hey, Jason.
Hey, Joe. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Doing well, man. What's going on?
All right. Well, first, before I get to my sports czar moment here, I would think, we've been discussing this LeBron James thing. I've been discussing it with my friends forever because I'm a huge, huge Sixers fan. Let me tell you something. I don't care if you got to throw the kitchen sink at that guy. I'm getting LeBron James, and then you know what? I'm trading for Paul George, Greek Freak, King Kong. Whoever he wants on the team is on the team. I don't care who it is. You give me one ring, that's all I care about because you never know when you're going to get back. Or same thing with the Eagles. You can't sit. You want to build for the future, but you at least got to get that one taste, just like we just got with the Eagles. You got to get that taste of a championship to help draw people in. You can't just assume LeBron's going to draw everybody in. You have to win something so somebody wants to come here.
Yeah, and Jason, I like the way you said it in terms of whoever he wants because we know what it leads to. It's not like he's this great player. Like Charles Barkley was a great player, obviously, but where Charles Barkley went did not always, he didn't win, but it didn't even always associate with making big runs. Like he was a great player, but you didn't know what you were getting in terms of what the end result would be. You know, if you bring LeBron here, the Sixers will play in the NBA Finals. Like it's a guarantee.
Yeah, you will guaranteed run roughshod on the Eastern Conference. Guaranteed, 100%. There's no one else that can even put up a fight. Not the Celtics, not the Raptors, none of these other Eastern Conference pretenders that are there every year that seem to never win the big one. Straight up.
It is, and he would bring that.
LBJ.
Hey, look, if he wants to come here and he's willing to do it, I'm with you. Roll out that red carpet. Jason, you're the czar of sports. What are you doing?
I want to keep it with basketball just because we're kind of on that kick right now. The one rule that has always annoyed me to no end being a fan watching it is when, they do that pump fake and then they lean into the player to draw the contact for a foul. I want to eliminate that completely because it's one thing to get fouled, but it's another thing to initiate the contact yourself. So that way you get a foul, get free throws. How many times does that help the team come back or stall a run? I want to eliminate that completely. I hate that to no end, especially players like Steph Curry who do it on the three-point line a lot.
It is frustrating. James Harden does it a lot too. He finds a way, and Jason, we appreciate the call, to always just get you off balance and initiate contact. He gets to the free throw line a million times a game. It is pretty cool when you have a player that could do it, though. It's hard. Like you just mentioned Steph Curry or I mentioned James Harden. Those guys could do it, and they're great at it. It's like, man, that's just free points because you're getting to the free throw line. But it is frustrating defensively when your team is out there and the guy's playing good defense. I've seen it happen to Covington where he's playing good defense. One of the elite wing scorers does it to him, and you can't even do anything about it. I'm not sure they could take it out of the game, but you're the sports czar. You can do whatever you want. 888-729-9494. Carl in Medford. How you doing, Carl?
Good. How you doing?
Good, bud. What's up?
Good. So, I just want to touch on a couple of things quickly. The idea of winning organically, I know they were talking about that last hour, and it just seems like an odd concept to me. Like, it's not like you get an edible trophy or something. Like, so, to me,
that's true.
Just win, right? I mean, it doesn't come with a little asterisk next to it that says, oh, you had so many free agents or whatever. So I think you just win. So I'm not on the organic bandwagon.
I'm with Carl. I've always been with you on that. Look, if your core is organic and you draft them, does it mean a little more and you watch them grow? Sure. But it doesn't change the end result. It doesn't. And I don't think years from now, we're going to look back if the Sixers brought LeBron here and they won and say, that wasn't really as good. Like, no, it'd still be really good.
Yeah. For the LeBron discussion, I mean, I'm fine with him coming here. I'm not an anti-LeBron guy. I think it will be an asset, and so I don't have a very strong opinion about that one. But the thing I wanted to get to, if I can be the czar now, is I have never been a fan of the tanking, and I'm not a fan of bad franchises. So I would implement a rule that says if you can't put a 500 team on the field, court, ice, whatever, for 5 consecutive years, the league will buy your franchise back at market value, and you can go do whatever you want to do, but you're not going to be an owner in the league anymore. And that's it.
Well, that's an interesting way to try to combat. We'll put you on Holgate in the running, Carl. To combat the tanking thing. Look, I'm always, this is my approach to tanking. I was pro with what the Sixers did. If it's in the rules, if the rules allow it, and it's the best way to build a winning team, the best way to build your team back into a winner, I'm cool with it. It's the system. Like in baseball the last couple of years, teams have tanked. The Phillies, to an extent, tanked. The Cubs did it. The Astros did it. It's the rules. If it's part of the rules, I never fault a team for playing by the rules. Now, if they change the rules, different story.
But at 5 years, I think that's fair. Because then you're just an incompetent franchise.
But the Sixers, they'd be out.
Not really.
It's been 5 years.
I mean, honestly, if that gets rid of Josh Harris, I'm fine with it. So
yeah,
it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
We might have our winner of our prize right there.
It's just like there is such thing as just incompetency and in short-sighted moves. And if you get like the Browns, like what are the Browns doing? It's been 20 years of this.
The only thing I'll say with that, though, is there's a slippery slope you're on there. Let's just use the example of a team is rebuilding. You want to call it tanking / rebuilding, and then you draft a Joel Embiid or you draft a Andrew Luck, and then he gets hurt, and you're prepared to win in year 4 and 5 of this plan. You have to sell your team? That's hard. It feels slippery. It feels like you might have teams sell them for no reason because of some circumstances. Tim is in Lansdale. What's up, Tim?
Hey, Joe. Just wanted to call in about the LeBron topic. I think it's a good conversation point that you're having. I just want to give you a call to see my take on it.
What do you think here?
I'm a fan of the show. I agree with a lot of things you say. What I don't think people are mentioning enough is I think LeBron overall, if you're just looking at this from an objective basketball fan point of view, he's really declined over the past couple of seasons. It's been up and down all over the place. You look at last season from the All-Star break to the rest of the season, they were a 500 team. They didn't play any defense. He was a selfish player, going for stats. Kyrie Irving demanded trade so he can get away from him. He's 34 is old man in basketball age. And I just think in the 16th or 17th season, you don't want a guy like that on a good young team like the Sixers. I just think a lot of the callers aren't bringing up, he's on the downhill of his career,
Well, I'll say this. Well, he obviously is not going to get better from here on out. I mean, he might be more efficient. He might shoot less. There might be things that he might change about his game. I won't say he's better, but he's not really declining here, Tim. If you want to say effort and defense, and he's not close to the defensive player he was 5 years ago, which really is age and effort. But offensively, he's not worse than he was a year or two ago.
I think the numbers are there. He's getting the numbers. I mean, last night, for example, he almost had a triple-double, but they lost. They lost against the Wizards without John Wall, a bunch of young guys, just scoring, being able to run them off the court. And, I'm not an anti-LeBron guy. I just think he's just on the downhill of his career. You look at Kobe in his last couple of seasons. That's kind of what it's going to look like. You're going to get your numbers, but you're going to be carrying a lot of young guys, and you're not going to win that many games.
Yeah, I disagree with him. I disagree with that point. I appreciate the call, though. Kobe was shooting 50 times a game or 30 times a game, whatever it was, and that's a different story.
And Kobe tore his Achilles.
Yeah, Kobe was bad at the end.
Kobe tore his Achilles at his age, I forget what, 34 maybe, and it was in 2012. And you're not going to be when you're that old in a sport like basketball and you tear your Achilles. Of course, you're not going to be the same player.
Yeah, and LeBron's never had a major injury. Is he the player he was in Miami? No, but that's just, of course not. But whatever this is, you want to call this decline, you want to call this, he's still the best player in the league. I've always thought this about great players. I always like bringing in great players when they're older because when they decline, they're still good. Like LeBron James, the next 5 years of LeBron James, I still think he's going to be a top 10 to 20 player even when we get to age 35, 36. And if you have Joel Embiid and you have Ben Simmons and that guy who comes with all the knowledge he comes with, it comes with his basketball IQ, they would win. They would win, and they would win at least an NBA championship. 888-729-9494, pound 9494 on your AT&T Verizon wireless cell phones. Come back, all your czar calls. We have the LeBron James debate, which I'm glad at least one person agreed with me. The organic thing and winning organically with all homegrown guys, I think it's overrated. Winning is winning. We'll talk about that and what you hear from our old friend Colin Cowherd, who every once in a while pops up something stupid when he's talking about Philadelphia sports. He threw the Sixers under the bus today, and for a guy that sometimes I think he's smart, really cannot understand what the Sixers are doing. We'll let you hear what Cowherd had to say about the Sixers on the other side. Sports Radio 94, WIP.
Oh, yeah. I get around.
7:22 on a Friday night. Joe Giglio hanging out with you. Sports Radio 94, WIP. Jack Fritz behind the glass. We have John Johnson, the updates. And, of course, you guys on the phone lines. 888-729-9494. In a minute, I want to play this for you. Colin Cowherd, who's, look, we know Colin, national sports talk host, always seems to find a way to needle Philadelphia. And I don't even know if he believes what he says, but he had a bad take on the process and a bad take on the Sixers. We'll play that for you in a second. But don't forget, coming up in about 20 minutes, your chance to win Eagles season tickets. Keep listening. You'll hear how to and your shot to win 2018 Eagles season tickets. All right, let's play this Cowherd thing, because Colin Cowherd, Fox Sports Radio, wherever he actually does his show now. I always see the clips on Twitter. We play it for you when it's really dumb. This one was really dumb. A guy that you would think could see and have a little vision. Not on this, not on the Sixers. Here's Cowherd on the Sixers.
I think you lost 200 games in 3 years, and the process didn't work. Okay, you're not close to winning a second-round series. As of today, you'd open up with the Cavs or the Celtics and get swept. Philadelphia is a 7 seed in the East. Yippee. Every time Joel Embiid jumps, you hold your breath. Number 1 pick, Markelle Fultz, bust, can't shoot. Ben Simmons, like him a lot, not a great shooter either. The process equaled 25 draft picks. You hit 2 home runs. 1 guy can't shoot and 1's injury prone. Multiple top picks, including Fultz, are a bust. So Mark Cuban got fined $600,000 for using the phrase tanking. The process is Latin for tanking. That's what you did. By the way, your rebuild is 5 years old, and you're a 7 seed in the East. The Boston Celtics rebuild is 4 years old, and they get to the Eastern Conference Championship. So I like their rebuild. The difference is, and if Gordon Hayward was healthy, they'd be getting to the finals.
I didn't actually think there was anyone out there with a brain that actually thought the process was a failure. Now, if you were one of those people that says, all right, it's not a complete success until this team wins something big and wins a title, we could differ on that. But if you think this thing was a failure, you cannot see what's happening here. You have Joel Embiid, you have Ben Simmons, not a failure. Bottom line done right there. And they're the 7th seed right now. It might be the 4th seed by Sunday. That Cowherd, every once in a while, just needles everybody. Just loves to needle this town. 888-729-9494. LeBron talk, roll out the red carpet. When July 1st, whatever the date is, hits, roll out that red carpet. And I think they put up an Instagram. Was it last weekend? It was Ben Simmons and I think it was LeBron. A couple more guys in there. Who else was there, Jack?
Tristan Thompson, a great player.
Well, Clutch Sports, right? It was the Clutch Sports.
It was everyone in Clutch Sports, and basically Ben Simmons was hinting at.
Yeah, because he put up, the caption was the date that NBA free agency started. So everyone started to lose their mind. And to an extent, I was too. Roll the red carpet out, bring LeBron here, and when you call in, you be the sports czar. Any change you want to make, you can make it. It's unilaterally improved. It's in. It's done. What's your change? And we will get you in the running. 4-packet tickets, the Philly Sports Card and Collectible Show. I'll give you one right now. I want salary caps out. Done. I hate salary caps. Every move becomes about money. Transactions aren't about players. They're not about, it's about money. It's about players in terms of contract. I hate it. And if you want to have them in, like in baseball, like the luxury tax now is basically a salary cap, there has to be a floor. If you're going to force teams to not spend too much, then you have to have some teams that will spend. I've always hated salary caps. Let's talk to Duran in Abington. What's up, Duran?
Hey, I wanted to talk about LeBron and then give my change.
All right. What do you got on LeBron?
Well, I think it's just if he came here, it'd be great for the city, the economy, everything. But I think just because you have Ben Simmons and Embiid, Ben Simmons and LeBron are kind of the same type ball-dominant facilitators. So, and Ben Simmons doesn't really have a jump shot yet. So Ben Simmons would be forced maybe to not handle the ball so much, and then Embiid would be pushed out the paint. And that would kind of hurt both of them, just so we can have LeBron.
But
yeah, look, if on that take, I mean, the way you're saying it, yeah, here's what would have to happen, Duran. LeBron would have to adapt his game, and I think he's smart enough. And look, he played with Dwayne Wade, and when they got together, Dwayne Wade and he both handled the ball, went to the basket. Neither liked to shoot from outside the paint. They made it work.
Right, that's true. But I think Dwayne Wade was more of he had a better mid-range jump shot than Ben Simmons.
You're no doubt. You're right on that. You're right on that.
I think Ben Simmons will grow, but if LeBron comes, it kind of forces him to grow faster than probably what he can at this point. But I think it would be great for the Sixers, though, to get him. I think my change would be in the NBA, the draft lottery. I think there's, 14 teams? It's either 14 or 16 or something like
14,
that. 14. They should split it up and make it a tournament where it's a one-game playoff, and whoever wins the playoff gets the first pick, and then it goes down second place gets the second pick, third place get the third pick, and so on and so on. That way it would be exciting, and then nobody, it would kind of soft tanking in a way.
In a way, you know what it would do, though, Duran? We'll put you on hold because it's an interesting thought. It would create new tanking. Because if you are a pretty good team, let's say you're the Sixers. Let's just use that as an example because Sixers tank, right? If you're the Sixers right now, what are the odds you're going to make to the finals this year? Like 2%? 5? I don't know, 10%? That you could get through the East, and actually with this team this year, they're not ready yet. So what are very slim odds to actually get to the finals? So let's say there's a transcendent player at the top of the draft. If you're the Sixers, in the scenario Duran just gave us, you could just intentionally lose a couple games here and there the rest of the season, miss the playoffs by a game, get in the tournament against all the bad teams, wipe them out because you're obviously good enough to make the playoffs, and then you get that special player. So I think every single time someone tries to come up with a way to solve tanking, there's always a loophole. And I think it's just a reality of sports. Sometimes you lose to bottom out or to try to get better in the long term. I think it's a cyclical thing. I've never had a problem with teams rebuilding and losing on purpose or tanking. It's just the way it is.
Also, it wouldn't reward bad teams.
Yes, and this would not be rewarding bad
maybe
teams.
if you took the top 4 teams, or
the worst 4 teams.
The worst 4 teams, and figure it out that way.
Because then you couldn't do what I just said. Like the Sixers couldn't do that.
Right.
Because they're too good to be that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you let the Sixers in this make-believe tournament, they'd win it, and they get the top pick, and it would actually incentivize not making the playoffs. Paul's in Delaware. What's up, Paul?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good, Paul. What's up, bud?
First of all, as far as LeBron James, I have a question. How many times has he actually gotten injured?
In terms of what kind of injury?
Serious injuries.
Never.
Throughout his career.
Zero.
Well, a lot of it can't be all genetics. It's got to be his mindset, off-season conditioning. That would be a big plus that he would bring to the Sixers.
That's a good point. No, Paul, that's a really good point. He would, yeah, you're right. There's more to what he is able to do on the court with his minutes and his durability and never getting hurt. It can't just be because he is just this freak. His training, I'm sure his trainers and his whatever he does in the season, if that could rub off on Joel and Ben, that'd be great.
I mean, you take that and also his mindset, how he prepares mentally for a game. That's one thing that you can't see, because we never really talk about. But that man always seems to be ready to play.
He always is. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, he's barely missed games over the course. I mean, a couple years here and there, he sat out. He had a little ankle thing, but he's basically played 75 to 80 games a year for 15 years. The guy, he just doesn't miss time.
Think about that, especially nowadays, 75 to 80 games average a year. That's a lot.
It's insane. I mean, it's a crazy number that really most guys, Paul, that have played the amount of minutes that he's played, they're done. I mean, and he's not close to done. It's a testament to how he takes care of himself.
Exactly. And have you ever seen him out of shape?
Never.
Ever?
Never once.
I mean, and the other thing, his maturity. Since he got in the league, his maturity level, his thought process when he talks to the media,
when the way he conducts himself, one of the callers mentioned the Olympics. You know, this man would be an asset, and not to mention the connection that he has with Simmons. I mean, the caller before me mentioned about, you know, that it would force Simmons to grow faster than he is now. Is that really a bad thing?
I don't think so. Look, he went to Cleveland. Kyrie Irving was 22 years old, and I know their relationship didn't end well, but he didn't kick him out, and Kyrie learned to be a winning player next to LeBron James. It only would help Ben Simmons. Paul, what do you want to change? You're the sports czar, Paul.
Well, the one thing I would change is, like, sometimes it seems like they reward teams for being bad. Like, let's take the NFL, you know, for having the number one pick. And I understand why they do it, you know, because they just want the worst teams to improve. But why not reward the teams that strive to get better with picks?
Well, I think because they want competitive balance. So, Paul, we appreciate it, bud. And we'll get you in the mix here for our tickets to the Philly Sports Card and Collectible Show. I understand it.
You know what this music's from?
I was trying to think as he was talking. This is our official czar music.
Yeah, I forgot I had it. So, do you know what it's from, though?
No. What is it?
You really don't know.
A show or a movie?
It's a show.
I mean, I'm enjoying it. I probably watched the show and enjoyed the show.
You probably didn't watch the show.
Game of Thrones?
It's Game of Thrones.
I've never watched the show.
See, that's a mistake by you. I used to be an anti-Thrones guy as well, and then I watched it, and I was like, well, this is the best show.
Well, I know everyone that's ever said this to me said it's the greatest show of all time. I've seen a lot of great shows.
Including John Johnson.
Everyone loves Game of Thrones. You know what, though? Every 3 years, a new show pops up, and it's the greatest thing of all time. I'm a little jaded when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah, because that was just a bad take. That was just an uneducated take that you just felt like spewing on the people.
What, the Game of Thrones take?
Yeah, like every 3 years is a new show that comes around. Come on, man.
When Breaking Bad was in its heyday, this is the greatest show of all time. Now it's this. You don't think there's going to be a show 2 years from now and everyone will go crazy over? That's just what happens.
Well, Game of Thrones will be back out in 2 years, so...
Yeah, I'm also not getting into a show I have to wait 2 years for the next season. Like,
but it's worth it.
I'm just not getting into that. It might be worth it. I'm sure it's a great show. I've never said it's a bad show. I just don't have the time for it. I'm out. 888-729-9494. Pound 94. You know what Game of Thrones is? It's a punk. Just like that guy who called about LeBron earlier. Punk. You know what? I'm never going to watch Game of Thrones. I'm out, just like you crazy people are out on LeBron James. Pound 9494 to hop on in. 9 o'clock, we'll bring on Matt Gelb of The Athletic, covering the Phillies down in Clearwater. A lot of LeBron James conversation tonight because it's out there. These rumors aren't going anywhere. They are here. Bill Simmons threw, really just lit a little match next to them, and they are on fire now. I think it's a possibility. Would I say it's likelihood? No, I don't think it's likely he's coming here. My guess is LeBron James would go to the Lakers. But if he wants to come here, or he really believes his best chance to become the greatest of all time and to win more titles is to pair up with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, then I am all for it, and I'd let him come in and do his LeBron thing to whatever he wants with the Philadelphia 76ers. 888-729-9494, pound 9494 on your AT&T and Verizon wireless cell phones. We come back, all your phone calls. And are you going to watch this movie? There's a new movie coming out. HBO has it. The Joe Paterno film. I saw the trailer today. Actually looks pretty good. And I want to avoid that story as much as I can because I was tired of it when it happened. But I'm probably going to watch it. We'll talk about it a little bit. 888-729-9494 at Sports Radio 94 WIP. 7:41 on a Friday night. Joe Giglio hanging out with you. Sports Radio 94 WIP. 888-729-9494. That is how you get aboard. Jack Fritz behind the glass. John Johnson on the updates as we debate the merits of a LeBron James pursuit, which is happening. Whether or not you want it to happen or not, the Sixers are going to try to get LeBron James this summer. They'd be crazy not to. Now, will they land him? What will it take? Who will they want to trade out? Will they want to bring? I don't know. But if LeBron James is considering the Sixers, Bill Simmons today wrote up a whole column on LeBron's legacy, the chase of Michael Jordan for GOAT status. And I agree with Bill Simmons on this. And he wrote in there that it really doesn't matter anything else he does, objectively, numbers-wise, math-wise, because the only thing that most fans care about is titles. And until he gets to Michael, it's probably not going to matter. Even though I really truly believe LeBron James is having the greatest career of all time. He's probably going to finish like 40,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, 10,000 assists. Just a better career than Michael Jordan. Night in, night out, years in, year out. But he's not going to have the 6-0 and all that. If he wants to extend his window to keep winning, the Sixers make sense. The Lakers could also, if they move things around and add some players around him. But if he's considering the Sixers have to go get him. 888-729-9494. A lot of people, or at least a decent amount, don't agree with me. That's the most amazing part. Like, this should be a no-brainer, except it's not. I'll put up a poll before the show. Do you want the Sixers to sign LeBron James this summer? Simple. 80-20. And you might say, well, yeah, 80-20. No, 20% don't want LeBron James. My buddy responded on the tweet and said, wait, really? People don't really want him? 20% say no. I find that mind-boggling. So we'll talk LeBron. You're the sports czar when you call in. You also get to make one change in sports. Anything you want. As it's been a week of a lot of talk of change. You got baseball talking about expansion. You got the NBA talking about having a tournament to determine the 7 or 8 seed. You have the NBA also talking about reseeding. So it wouldn't be East and West in the playoffs. It would be 8 East teams, 8 West teams, and they throw them all in a mix by their record. So a lot of change is being talked about in sports. You only can make one change. What's your change? 888-729-9494. The other thing I want to throw out there, see if any of you guys saw this. If you didn't, check it out. YouTube has it. The new trailer came out for the Joe Paterno movie, which HBO is putting together. So it's an HBO movie. I believe coming out in April, I think I saw the date was, but I watched it today. Al Pacino is playing Joe Paterno. A pretty powerful trailer. And I was someone that was just nauseated, as I'm sure a lot of you were, with everything that happened at Penn State. And I wanted all that. I wanted the story to go away. I wanted the conversation to go away. I wanted that whole thing to disappear because it was just gut-wrenching to talk about. So my take a couple months ago when I first heard about this was like, yeah, I'm probably not going to watch it. I watched that trailer, though. I'm probably going to watch it. It looks pretty powerful. And Al Pacino, I don't know how many more roles he has left in him, but I'm glad he got the Joe Paterno role because he is Joe Paterno in the trailer. It's him.
Here's the problem, though.
With Pacino or the movie?
With Pacino in the Joe Paterno role.
Okay.
Is that Pacino didn't change his voice at all. It was still Pacino, but it was trying to act like Joe Paterno.
Yeah, he looked like him, though.
He was doing his Any Given Sunday speech.
Well, that's
just like Al Pacino.
That's his football coach speech.
Yeah, but you can't sound... I need to lead at least a little bit of a Joe Paterno impersonation.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm with you there. But I'm not expecting like 70s top of his game Pacino. Like that guy left years ago. He's not come back. I'll watch it, though. If I get a chance, I will watch it, and I'll probably be upset
But you won't watch Game of Thrones. It's crazy.
Game of Thrones is a much longer commitment.
Joe, it's worth it.
Jack, I've got 2 little kids.
I'm here to say goodbye to the kids for a little bit, Joe.
You can't do that, Jack. You can't just say, look, I'm not a dad this weekend. I'm watching Game of Thrones. Let's talk to Joe in Hatboro. What's up, Joe?
Joseph, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Excellent. I think those folks who want LeBron are like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs because every team that has won in this city has always gone after a marquee free agent. Pete Rose, I know it was already brought up, but he had swagger. He had championship experience. He brought the best out of Mike Schmidt. He brought the best out of everybody on that team. So if it wasn't for Pete Rose, they would have never won that 80s World Series. And Moses Malone, same thing in 83.
That's right. And no one cares now. We look back on those guys and we revere when they were here.
Oh my God! I was 10 years old when Rose came. I couldn't believe it. It was wonderful. I knew he was a great player with the Reds, but I had a new appreciation for him. And he wasn't a spring chicken when he came to the Phillies. So he still had a lot left in him, but he brought that X factor in the locker room, in the dugout, and he talked to Schmitty, gave confidence, and I think that's what LeBron would bring to this team. It would give him give them all that experience, and it's great. It's great stuff. I think they're crazy.
Yeah, I do too, and I want them here, Joe. And look, the Sixers, and I appreciate the call, bud. The Sixers would be the epicenter of the NBA. It'd be here. It would exist in Philadelphia. It wouldn't be, a big game every now and then. No, every game would be an event. You know what? I've never heard of this for any other athlete in Cleveland. I guess for Cleveland.com is their website and whatever the newspaper associated with it is. They actually have maybe more than one person, but they have someone whose job is to cover LeBron James. Think about that for a second. Like, they not as someone that covers the Cavs. Like, they have a Cavs beat writer, but they have someone whose job is to cover LeBron James.
Don't talk about Brian Windhorst like that.
That's not who I'm talking about. Now, he's kind of like LeBron James.
Literally anytime. It's always windy. You ever see the video of Windhorst falling asleep on TV?
Yes, it's really good. I always wondered if he ever thanked LeBron. Like, the story of Brian Windhorst is amazing. Then they went to the same high school, and then on his own, Brian Windhorst got a job at the Cleveland Plain Dealer, maybe it was, whatever it was, the local newspaper. LeBron was there, and then he went to ESPN when LeBron went to Miami, and then he just basically went back to Cleveland when LeBron, he just covers LeBron.
Yeah, but you know what's ridiculous is that that LeBron didn't give him the story of him coming back to Cleveland.
Well, he gave it to Lee Jenkins.
Love Lee Jenkins.
Yeah, come on. And SI is a little more prestigious than ESPN.com. Let's be real about it. You want that cover. You want the whole thing. Let's talk to Joe in Williamstown. Hey, Joe.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good, man. What's up?
Just a couple things. You know, a lot of the haters out there, when you go to games and stuff, they always boo the best players, and it really irks me because, like, when they're gone, when they're out of the game, is when everyone's going to miss them and wish they were back. You know, the Yankees and Red Sox are the greatest rivalry, but when Jeter retired, you know, they were cheering him, you know?
Yeah, you know why? Because the games are more fun when you have great players.
You know, right. Just like Bryce Harper, you know, they boo him, but, you know, if he became a Philly, everybody would be, you know, all excited and all up in arms cheering him. You know, I could see if a player was like J.D. Drew, who spurned the Phillies and, like, didn't want to sign with them, you know, you could boo him that way. But when a guy's a great player like LeBron and is exciting and he makes things happen, I mean, you pay to see those guys. And then once they're going out of the league, you're going to wish you saw them. So that's you know, it's just a problem in sports. But what do you guys think about that?
I think it happens a lot. You know why? Because I think it's good when sports have villains, Joe. I really always do believe that, like Barry Bonds, and I guess Bryce Harper is that now. LeBron, I never thought was... He wasn't great in the role as a villain. Like, he didn't fit that as much. I don't think he embraced it when he was in Miami that first year, but I think that's what it is. People like villains. They like narratives, and it's part of it, but, you know, I don't boo. Joe, what's your change? You're the czar of sports. What do you got?
My one change is I can't stand it when you get in the rhythm of the game is the NBA. They have a million timeouts. It's like timeout after timeout. They need to cut down on the timeout because, you know, it's like even after one possession, you know, they got to call a timeout right away. Like, it's just too much. You know, I coach basketball for kids, and we get 2 timeouts a half, and you got to be smart about using your timeout. You know, it's like the NFL. You get your timeouts. You got to be smart about using them.
Yeah, it takes away the whole rhythm. In the last 2 minutes of an NBA game, and Joe, appreciate the call there, buddy. The last 2 minutes of an NBA game can be excruciating. Like a tie game, couple minutes to go. And you got that, what Joe just said. And I understand that coaches are going to save them and use them that way. It can be really excruciating. I don't like that at all. That's my favorite one so far. And I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you take them away because you need your timeouts late in the game. But it's annoying.
Speaking of high school basketball, in the state of PA, they still don't have a shot clock.
Is that true?
Last time I went to a high school basketball game, which granted was like 3 years ago.
So not that long ago, though.
Right.
Why?
I don't know.
It's 2018.
It's insane.
Now, does everyone kind of adhere to a pretend shot clock, or is it really?
Yeah, I mean,
there's a flow to it.
Sometimes, but then there's also another time, like in my high school game that I went to once in like 2012. The halftime score is 8-6.
Oh, I couldn't watch that.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Oh, so someone's got to change that. That's my new one. I'm the sports czar. Put a shot clock in high school basketball. What year is this? Let's talk to Donnie in Delaware. Hey, Donnie.
Yo, guys, what's going on? Hey, so a couple callers back, one guy was talking about LeBron and how he doesn't get hurt. He plays 80 games a year. Well, not to mention every year he goes deep into the playoffs, so he's playing an extra, at minimum, if they sweep him, an extra 16 games. So LeBron playing 14 seasons from coming in 04, and this is 18. He's actually probably played closer to 17 or 18 seasons.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Donnie, I'm looking at it right now. He has played 217 playoff games, which is...
So that's 3 seasons.
That's 3 Yeah, by the end of this year, he'll have played 3 extra full seasons.
Yeah. So my other point here is I don't know if LeBron... I would love to have LeBron here. I don't know if LeBron and Brian Colangelo could coexist. I think Colangelo is just too big of an ego to let LeBron come in here because, LeBron, he wants to have his guys around him. And I don't see Colangelo letting that happen. I would see Colangelo more likely to go after somebody like Giannis, I can't say the last name.
Antetokounmpo?
Yeah, because he's a overseas player.
His name is Giannis Antetokounmpo. Is it not
Giannis Antetokounmpo?
Not Kumbo, it's Kumpo.
Sounds like something from The Lion King.
It does. Anyway, the Greek Freak, we know what we're talking about here, Donnie. Don't let Jack get involved here.
Yeah, but to me, that's something. That's the guy that I could see coming here even more than LeBron, just for the simple fact that Colangelo's still here, because he is a Colangelo guy. Period. I mean, that is your idea of what Colangelo always drafted.
Yeah, look, if he was available, and here's the other thing with that. He's younger. That's more of a long-term play. Meanwhile, LeBron, you don't know. He's not available right now, though. So LeBron is, and then that's why this whole thing, it's kind of right at the top of mind. Donnie, what's your sports change? You're the czar, Donnie.
I'm getting rid of the Milwaukee Bucks and the Memphis Grizzlies. Then you don't have to worry about that 8 seed anymore. You know you're going to have a good 8 seed in each side.
The Milwaukee Bucks are gone, contracted. How about that, Donnie? That was a harsh one. Donnie, we appreciate the call. Out are the Bucks. Gone.
The poor Bucks.
They're losing Greek Freak to the Sixers, and they're not even a franchise anymore. 8-8.
Sounds like a good sports star.
Yeah, you
got to give Giannis to the Sixers, and you're also to give up your franchise.
Well, you know what? If you're going to be a czar, you got to be firm, and you have to rule with an iron fist, and that Donnie just did there. 888-729-9494, pound 9494, your AT&T Verizon wireless cell phones. Do you want the Sixers to get LeBron James? Just put it out there simply. I want them not only get him, but roll out the red carpet, and if it means trading away some young guys in this team you like, outside of Simmons and Embiid, I'm okay with it, because that guy is that great. We'll talk LeBron, all your points on being the sports czar. You give us a change, we'll get you in the running. 4-pack of tickets, Philly Sports Card and Collectible Show, coming up next weekend at the Valley Forge Casino Resort, March 2nd through the 4th. So next Friday through Sunday. It's a really cool thing. Carson Wentz, Nick Foles, Alshon Jeffrey, Fletcher Cox, many more going to be there. Your chance to get in. You give us your change as you are the sports czar. When we get back, all your calls, and it sounds like one of the young Eagles set for free agency, not going to be back. Story came out today about, an offer that wasn't really an offer, and it sounds like the writing's on the wall. We'll tell you who that is on the other side. Coming up, Sports Radio 94 WIP. 8 o'clock straight up on a Friday night, Sports Radio 94 WIP. 888-729-9494. That is how you get aboard. Joe Giglio hanging out with you. Jack Fritz behind the glass. Of course, John Johnson with us on the update. An hour from now, top of the 9 o'clock hour, we'll bring on Matt Gelb of The Athletic, who is down in Clearwater. Phillies had their first Grapefruit League game today. And the results don't matter in many of these games. It's just fun having baseball back. And I think the team's going to be pretty good this year, or at least better, competitive. So we'll get a little feel from Matt Gelb, who wrote a really good piece at The Athletic about Aaron Nola, and is he or is he not an ace, and how we talk about him. So we'll have fun with that coming up about an hour from now. Right now, LeBron James talk. The rumors are out there. The buzz is out there. LeBron to the Sixers. It's a real talking point. And I would roll out the red carpet. And if you want to give me the consequences, someone told me I said cancer on Twitter, which is just stupid. I hate that word when we talk about sports because it's dumb. But if you don't want to like LeBron and you don't want him here, okay. But I'll take one of the two greatest players of all time, and I will add it to Joel Embiid, and I will add it to Ben Simmons, and the Sixers will go win a title. And if there's collateral damage after that, there's some collateral damage after that. And if a guy like Dario can't be part of it, can't be part of it. And if Robert Covington has to go, Covington has to go. But if Paul George comes with LeBron and this team goes to the finals next year, I'm not going to be complaining. And if there's a parade here next June, I don't think you're going to be complaining either. 888-729-9494. Now, before we get back to phone lines, I mentioned this Eagles story, which is not surprising, but it's kind of a quick resolution maybe to this, or kind of an understanding before we even get there that this is the reality of the situation. So, according to Matt Lombardo over at NJ.com, the Eagles made some sort of an offer or reached out to Trey Burton with what they might be able to offer him. He wasn't very receptive to the offer. Felt like a non-offer. And to make a long story short, it feels like the Trey Burton Eagles' tenure is going to end here. Trey Burton's final moment, not bad. Super Bowl, Philly special, throwing the pass, and I'm not surprised at any of it. Because the Eagles are over the cap. They have to have a lot of moves they have to make this offseason to finagle money. I don't know if they're going to be big spenders anyway in free agency, but Burton feels like a luxury more than he is a priority for them. They have Zach Ertz. They have one of the top 2 or 3 tight ends in the league, and I think Burton could go be a starter somewhere else, get starter money. I'm not surprised. I'm rooting for him, and if he goes somewhere else and he gets a bunch of money and he's a starter, good for Trey Burton. 888-729-9494. We'll start to Chris, who is in Yardley. Hey, Chris.
Yo, Joe, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm absolutely tired of hearing people say that they don't want to see LeBron James come to Philadelphia. With using that logic of the homegrown, boy, wouldn't this Eagle season been a lot different if we didn't have somebody like LeGarrette Blount or Jay Ajayi or Alshon Jeffrey or Torrey Smith.
Or Chris Long. Yeah, those guys helped.
Right. So the idea of the homegrown, while there might be something romantic about the idea of someone growing up in this area and playing for the team like Corey Clement, like that's a great story. The idea of having the best active NBA player play on your team amongst 2 rising stars, that to me sounds a lot like what you expect out of the Miami Heat when LeBron had a supporting cast of players that were really good. And those guys came together and they played unselfishly. And that is the part that I think people completely forget, is that he was able to bring those guys together and they were able to dominate.
Yep.
And then he takes that game to Cleveland and he dominates. And anyone who says that they don't want a dominating player, regardless of what his name is, regardless of whether you may boo him because you're just jealous he's not on your team, the moment that man straps on a 76ers jersey, people will lose their effing minds, and we will all sit back and watch basketball return to a glory in a city that absolutely loves the sport.
We will. We'll watch in awe of the player he is and what he does for a team and winning and winning and winning. And Chris, I appreciate the phone call. Some of what he said there and some of the I don't want LeBron because you realize we can recycle this, Jack. We can recycle these phone calls. We can recycle my take on it, and we could just insert. It's like we don't have to do the show. We could sit here a year from now or whatever months from now, and we'll have the Bryce Harper Phillies pursuit, and it'll be the same thing.
Sort of.
It's some of the takes.
I think the Eagles' take is generally pretty bad.
Why?
In relation to the homegrown argument? Because adding LeGarrette Blount or Alshon Jeffrey or Chris Long is a lot different than adding a LeBron James. I'm all for adding guys to build around these pieces. It's the difference between adding, LeBron. LeBron is a different animal, as we all know.
There's no doubt. It's a much different. But at the end of the day, what's the difference? That's what I've never understood. Is it about credit? Is it about who gets the credit if they win?
It's just cooler to see. I think it's just cooler, me visually supporting the team, like seeing those Phillies come up and seeing them finally mature into a world championship, to me, is cooler than going and buying a guy and having him come in here and win.
Cooler. No, I mean, I get it. I think there is something.
I get more enjoyment out of it. Not that I wouldn't enjoy. Of course I would enjoy a Sixers parade. It's much more fun to. I like the grow. I like the growth.
I do too.
Longest view in the room. All of that.
It's fun, but there's no guarantee there.
Right.
I can pretty much guarantee a title with LeBron.
Probably.
I can't pass that up. That's the whole thing. I can't pass that up because of what he is. Like, if he's 38, it's not going to work. If he's really on the decline, he's not on the decline yet. He's still the best player in the league. There's no other way to say it than that. He's still the best, and the league's got a lot of great players. James Harden's a great player. Kevin Durant's a great player. Steph Curry's a great player. There are a lot of great players running around. LeBron's still the best one. Mike in New Jersey. What's up, Mike?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Thanks for all your hard work tonight. I just wanted to chime in on the LeBron and my czar thought. I don't think I'll be the top call tonight, but here we go.
Well, you might be. What do you got on LeBron, Mike?
I got to tell you, the one thing that I was thinking about as I'm hearing everybody's calls, and you've had some great calls, I don't know, if you bring in somebody like LeBron, and a lot of folks have talked about his experience and the wisdom he brings, I think he could really teach some of the younger players, and maybe he could be an unlock to Fultz's kind of mental snafu, if you will. If we don't trade him away for LeBron, he might take some of that pressure off of Fultz, and maybe he comes along and and can kind of get onto those coattails and be what we thought he was going to be.
He might, Mike, he could, or I think another scenario, and I'm not sure if this is one people want or not, I wouldn't be shocked if LeBron came here and he traded away, and they traded away Markelle Fultz for a veteran or for someone that is up to speed and ready to go, because I don't think that guy wants to waste, years. And look, Ben and Joel, that's not wasting time. Those guys are ready to win right now. Like, they're ready. I don't think Markelle's ready.
Super point, yeah. And then as far as my czar point goes, and this is way out of the box, this is not even feasible, but I got to throw it out there. It's just the whole, these NFL drives me crazy with these coaches after the game. Like, I just wish we could just give them truth serum and they would say what's really on their mind. Like Belichick and all these guys, like, really, why waste our time with a post-game interview? Just give them a truth serum. I'd love to hear what's on their mind. And just, that would, for me, I would stick around to the end of the game to hear that.
You know what, Mike? I really like that one. We're going to put you in the mix for our tickets. Truth serum to coaches after a game. Could you imagine some of those press conferences?
We drugging up Greg Popovich?
Yes. Well, I mean, I don't know if Greg needs it, though. You put a microphone in front of him, he'll tell you everything you want to know about what he thinks about our president and our country and every other situation going on. I would like it for a maligned coach. Like, think about Doug Peterson before now. I mean, now it's different because Doug Peterson's the toast of the town. Think about Doug Peterson, let's say after week 3, when all the conversation was about 4th and 8. Or right after the Mike Lombardi comments in early September. Or after that story that came out early in the season about Jim Schwartz trying to take his job. Could you imagine if Doug Peterson had truth serum and he got up there and he said, Mike Lombardi works for the Ringer because no NFL team will hire him because he sucks. Like, that'd be awesome.
It's just funny how, if you remember at the end of last year, they literally didn't let him have a press conference because they were afraid he was going to be too truthful.
He didn't need truth serum.
He doesn't need it. I mean, he holds back a little bit.
A little bit, but he never gets upset at anyone who criticizes him. That'd be fun to watch.
You know who I want to give truth serum to?
Jason Kelsey.
Well, he's pretty truthful.
I think he's on it.
Yeah, he might be on it. I want to give it to Sam Hinkie. I just want to know why he took Julie Locafer. I want to know how that all went down.
You want the story?
Yeah, it's my most. I need that question answered because it wasn't a Hinkie pick. There's no way that was a Hinkie pick. I will go to my grave thinking that he wanted Porzingis and management didn't let him do it.
I would tend to agree with that. And then the whole thing happened with Porzingis not, refusing to work out with the Sixers and the agents were all involved. I don't know what happened, but I tend to think that he didn't really want. I mean, who would really want you Locafer? Let's be real about it. Rodney in Allentown. What's up, Rodney? Rodney, you with us, buddy?
Hello?
Hello, Rodney.
Yeah, this is Rusty from Temple.
Rusty from Temple? It's even better than Rodney from Allentown. What's up, Rusty?
How you doing tonight?
We're doing well.
Yeah, honestly, the comments I have heard as to why they don't want LeBron are moronic. Just to suck up your pride, like, what are you going to do? Even if Joel leaves, even if Ben leaves, what are you going to do? Sit at home and sob in your Ben Simmons jersey while we're at the parade celebrating? No, you're going to go to the parade and you're going to enjoy our title that we haven't had in 30-some years.
That's right. You're going to love it. You know why? I've always said this, Rusty. We like to think we root for players and homegrown guys or guys. You know what we root for? We root for laundry. And if the Philadelphia 76ers win a title, whoever's underneath those jerseys, they're the ones we love.
Exactly. Like, it's a joke. And the pride aspect to it, like, to say I hate LeBron, so I don't want him here. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry that you're still hung up that Jordan isn't the best player ever and that you don't want to believe it, but it is. LeBron is the best ever. So get over it. If he comes here, you're guaranteed a title or at least two finals champion appearances.
There's no doubt about that. If he came here, he's still got a lot left in the tank. This team would go to the NBA Finals. Rodney, you're the czar of sports. What are you doing?
Okay, I want to change the NFL playoffs. I don't like that a 7-9 win team can make the playoffs over a 14-win team. That shouldn't even be a possible scenario. In 1991, our Eagles team, Football Outsiders, has that ranked as the best defense of all time, over the 85 Bears, over the 2001 Ravens, over everyone. And we missed the playoffs because the Redskins just happened to have a great year, and then the NFC would just happen to be so great. So I'd like it to be like the NBA, where the best teams make it, and divisions just don't matter. You just happen to play those teams twice a year.
You know what? I do think there should be some sort of change with that, and we'll get you in the mix there, Russ. They called him Rodney. His name's Rusty. I do think there should be some sort of change where I still believe in divisions in the NFL. I like them. I like that if you win the division you're in. It gives every fan base something to watch for every year. Even if your team isn't great, if it's a weird year or you win your division games, I don't want to change that. I don't want to go that far. But I don't think necessarily because you win the division, you should get a home game. I wouldn't mind if the better record in the division and the wild card round has the home field advantage. Like when the Seahawks won their division at 7-9, I'm fine with them being in. But I don't think that game should have been in Seattle. It always bothered me.
Turns out that guy's name was Ralphie. 0 for 3.
Ralphie, Rusty, Rodney. I'm going to throw a little quick story in here. I hope he's not listening, because if he's listening, I'm going to feel awful. But I don't think this person knows what I do for a living, so I don't think he's listening. I have a neighbor. He lives maybe like 5 or 6 houses down from me, and I moved to where I live now probably 4 years ago. So I moved there, and I'm really bad with names. Like if you tell me your name, unless I talk to you and you keep telling me your name, I'm going to forget it. I don't even know what Jack's name is. It might be Mike, Steve. I call him Jack. He's okay with it. I'm just bad with names. So I have this guy down the street, older guy, maybe in his 60s or 70s. He introduced himself to me the day I moved in. I think his name might be Frank or Fred, and I have no idea. And I kind of just don't ever call him by name because I don't know. I really feel bad about it, and that reminded me of the Rusty, Ralphie, Rodney thing. What's his name? Ralphie?
His name's Ralphie.
It's like he's my new Frank Fred. I have a Frank Fred here now.
Ralphie's an underrated name. You don't hear many Ralphies. Besides Ralphie May, R.I.P.
Yeah, it's like a Happy Days name. Yeah, you don't use it. You don't hear it that much. It should come back. 888-729-9494. You know what we haven't done tonight? We haven't checked the text board. Anything good on there, Jack? On our text board this evening?
Yeah, we actually do have a good text message, which you can always text us. Same number as the call-in number. If you know, we had a full board tonight, so it's been tough to get through. But this guy, Michael V. from South Florida, as sports czar, I command all sports teams took money from the city or state to start paying you back, and no more money from any government that will be used for a new team.
Yeah, I'm with that. Well, you know why? I'm not sure if he's always from South Florida, but maybe he's in the vicinity of the Marlins, who just scammed the city of Miami into a ballpark. I'd be pretty upset about that.
Yeah, and owners should pay for their own stadiums.
They absolutely should. I mean, it's crazy that we fund these things.
We keep doing it. Every time.
And we're probably going to keep doing it. Now, yeah. I feel like a city like this that's so entrenched with the Eagles, and the Eagles give a lot back, I don't think it's as bad here, but when you have shady owners like in Miami, like that's ridiculous.
The Eagles almost left here.
That's true. But not Lurie.
Pre-Lurie.
Pre-Lurie, yeah. Jeff's a smart guy. He's not pulling the Eagles out of Philadelphia. 888-729-9494, pound 9494 on your AT&T and Verizon wireless cell phones. We come back, all your LeBron James takes as, look, if he wants to come here, if this is a possibility, if these rumors and this buzz that is growing according to Bill Simmons is real, they have to roll out the red carpet. I don't care what. No, you can hit the buzz all you want, but I don't care what it takes. You get Joel Embiid if Joel Embiid wants to be part of the Philadelphia.
Joel Embiid's already a part of the Sixers.
You get LeBron James. Yeah, Joel Embiid better be part of the Sixers. And by the way, Joel was unbelievable last night. I think we might actually underrate Joel Embiid. He's unbelievable. We could touch on that as well. 888-729-9494. I knew the sports czar. We have a 4-pack of tickets next weekend, the Philly Sports Card and Collectible Show. Give us a change. You'll make the sports. I'll give you a new one. I'll throw another one when we get back. There's so many things about sports that I love and so much that bothers me. We're going to change one that bothers me when we come back on the other side. 888-729-9494 and Sports Radio 94 WIP. .22 on a Friday night. Joe Giglio hanging out with you. Sports Radio 94 WIP. Jack Fritz behind the glass. We, of course, have John Johnson, as you heard there, on the updates. And you guys with us at 888-729-9494. As we talk LeBron James possibly coming to the Sixers this summer. Bill Simmons wrote a whole column today about LeBron's future, his chase of Michael Jordan for GOAT status, and Bill Simmons' conclusion, or part of it was, there's been growing LeBron to Philly buzz. And he listed all the reasons why and how it's a possibility. I don't know what the odds are. I don't know what the chances are. But if there's a chance, you roll out the red carpet. And you don't worry about LeBron the GM. You don't worry about Clutch Sports. You don't worry about Maverick Carter. You worry about bringing one of the 2 greatest basketball players ever to Philadelphia, and you let the rest take care of itself. I understand it's not a clean free agent. It's not just money, years, and that's it. There's more to it. But it's also LeBron James. Yet a lot of you have told me no, you don't want it. 888-729-9494. Along with your phone calls on LeBron. We have 4-pack of tickets to the Philly Sports Card and Collectible Show coming up Friday through Sunday next weekend, March 2nd through the 4th, Expo Center, Valley Forge. You got Carson Wentz, Nick Foles, Alshon, Fletcher Cox, all going to be in attendance. You could be there. Here's how you get in the running. We're empowering you tonight. You are the czar of sports. And you can change anything you want. Whatever it is, you get to make a change, and we enact it immediately. You got to change, Jack?
I've got to change.
All right, Czar Jack.
I need just about as much as LeBron to Philly. And that is the Buster Posey rule has to be abolished.
You don't care about catchers and their health?
No, it is ridiculous. The only reason that rule was ever changed was because it happened to Buster Posey.
It also happened to Carlos Santana. They didn't change the rule for him.
Right.
Posey was after
Only
that.
because it was Buster Posey. They're completely changing the game of baseball and the way it is played at the plate. The players don't know where to slide. The umpires don't know what to call. It's awkward. Horrible. It changed the game too much for me.
Though I know what the concussion issue now, I don't know how they could go back. And I know it wasn't strictly concussion because Posey hurt his ankle. But they don't want collisions at home plate. It's never going back. But you're the czar.
It's baseball.
I got you.
It's a non-contact sport. There can be a little bit of contact.
You're the czar. I'm letting it go.
You're right. I am the czar.
You're the czar. 888-729-9494 is how you get in. And I mentioned for the break, I want to throw this out there. Embiid was unbelievable last night. Joel Embiid was really has been unbelievable all year. We talked about on Rights to Ricky Sanchez this week that he deserves some sort of place in the MVP voting, whether that's 4th, 5th, wherever he comes in at the end. He deserves that. I actually think we might underrate Joel Embiid. Like, we talk more about how good he could be, how great he can be, his potential, and we don't talk a lot about how great he is right now. He is unbelievable. I saw a stat this past week, his numbers for 75 games in the NBA, and it was compared to every other center, I think, in the history of the game, or maybe just player, because the combination of stats. He was like him, Olajuwon, David Robinson. He is that talented. He really is. Maybe later in the show, we'll kind of look at how he stacks up against the great centers of all time. It's already a conversation in my mind. Let's talk to Smith, who is in Camden. Hey, Smith. Hey, Smith. Smith going once. Smith, you all right? Not sure about Smith. We're going to get Smith on hold. Josh is in Springfield. He's ready to go.
Yeah, what's going on, fellas? Thanks for having me on.
You got it, bud. What's up?
Yeah, last time I was on the air, I kind of babbled a little bit. I apologize, so I'll get straight this time.
That's all right. I do it all the time.
I first do want to say, guys, like, you guys as a team, Joe and Jackie, I love your show, man. The nuances that you guys understand, the intellectual property, this 4-for-4 guys that you bring to the table, it's just really impressive. I really enjoy your program.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that, Josh.
But that being said, I'll segue that into, I agree with you 99% of the time when I listen. But first, the salary cap thing, real quick. I can't get with you on that. I always felt like the salary cap kind of evens the playing field so that the bigger markets can't buy their championships, which is what I think some Sixers fans are afraid of with bringing LeBron here, that they're just borrowing the chip.
You know what I think, Josh, and I'll let you go on. I've always thought of salary caps as it's an artificial thing that owners use to keep the salaries down. Like, they can afford to pay the players. And then you're right. It does bring like a balance to the league where everyone is on equal playing field. But I think that they all should, like, in my perfect world, all the owners would want to win just as much, so they all would spend. Right. And it wouldn't be a big discrepancy. And if you had an owner that didn't want to spend, get him out of the club.
Right. Yeah, they could tweak that. That could be your czar change, I guess. But that being said, I don't understand not wanting LeBron here. Now, if for no other reason than his coach on the floor presence. I mean, somebody already mentioned that maybe he could snap Fultz out or whatever he's going through or whatever. Somebody, I forget who it was, mentioned Fultz during the draft that he was kind of built like a poor man's Dwayne Wade. So if anybody could tune him up, I think LeBron would have a great deal of familiarity with that. And he could just, these guys, like you're saying, Embiid, and whether we underappreciate them or not, these guys are in the absolute prime of their developmental greatness. If that makes any sense.
It does. And you know what, Josh? You're right. Josh, when he got to Cleveland, when he went back to Cleveland, Kyrie Irving was 22, 23 years old, right around the age that Joel is now, and Ben's going to be next year.
Absolutely. So if for no other reason, his coach on the floor ability, somebody said he might clash with Colangelo and all that. I'm not buying that for a second because you got Brett Brown from the Popovich tree. There was never any egomaniacal anything out of San Antonio, and they had that in check altogether. I don't see any kind of problems in that regard of being possible. Who wouldn't want the guy here? It's a no-brainer to me.
It feels crazy. It just feels crazy not to want him, even with the maybe some repercussions and when he leaves and who he might trade away. If you have LeBron and you have Simmons and you have Embiid, we're going to watch the team play in the NBA Finals, Josh. That's what I care about.
I'm with you. So then we have a Czar thing, right?
Yes.
Okay. This maybe, I hope nobody said this already, but it seems pretty obvious to me. These tickets sound awesome, by the way. This catch, not a catch thing. I can't do it. I can't stand it anymore. Imagine if they ruled Zach Ertz like they ruled Jesse James in Pittsburgh for whatever ungodly reason, even though he took 3 steps and, turned his head. It was definitely premeditated when he turned his head and lunged. But just imagine, something like that, deciding a pivotal moment like that. The catch thing needs to be common sense. If he harnesses the ball and he pulls it into his chest and makes a conscious move, I think it's a catch. Common sense, they need to get rid of all the minutia that's debatable and has them in the booth for 2 minutes.
Yeah, I'm with you. Especially the worst one. And Josh, we appreciate the call. The worst one was the Zach Ertz touchdown to win the Super Bowl. How long that took, how long Collinsworth went on. I like Chris Collinsworth. That was ridiculous. It was bad.
You ready for Jackie Conspiracy Theorist?
All right. Not ready, but I'm ready to hear it.
You sounded ready.
I'm ready.
They'll never define what a catch is because they want the autonomy of the refs because of Las Vegas.
Controversy creates cash?
It's just like, Vegas is in the refs' ears.
Come on. I can't do that.
Vegas is in the refs' ears.
I was trying to go along for the first part of it.
Think about it.
No.
They never wanted to define. They'll never define what a catch is because of Las Vegas in the ear.
You don't believe that.
Worried about the spread.
You don't believe that.
Worried about the spread.
If you believe, I've always said this. If it really was fixed to that degree, I'm out.
It's an entertainment product.
No. It's not wrestling. There's got to be something real about the best team wins the game. Otherwise,
the best team can win the game. Doesn't mean they have to cover the spread.
In wrestling, though, entertainment, they're both in on it. They all know the outcome, except maybe what happened to Bret Hart, the Montreal Screwjob. You know about that, Jack?
I don't.
No, you got
professional wrestling.
Well, no, you missed out. You got to pick up your knowledge. If you don't know about the Montreal Screwjob, you don't know what you're talking about. Let's talk to. Is Smith ready in Camden? Smith, you there?
Yes, sir.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up? Listen, I seen this guy in person. This guy is a monster. I mean, when he comes out, he can take you to the board. He can shoot from 3, and that's what makes him so special. Because your big guy has to come out to guard him. And if you don't, he's going to make you look sick. This man is all that. And yes, LeBron would be good if he was here, but I'm telling you, without him, the Sixers are going to be there anyway. Just a piece away, and they will be on their way. I'm telling you. And it would feel good for them to win it without him.
It will, but I don't know if they're going to win it without him. I don't know if they're going to win without adding another big piece.
I'm telling you, they have it. They just need to take their time because people don't think they were going to do as good as they're doing this year, and a lot of people say that.
You're right. No, they have exceeded expectations so far, Smith. You're right on that.
And I'm telling you, man, I know it. I feel it. And this guy, man, is going to do it. And I would love to see him go to Los Angeles so that they can come down to Philadelphia and they could beat him because I know that's how good they are. And when that parade happens, this city will be special. I'm telling you now, man.
Well, you know what? That would be a fun future NBA final. Smith, I appreciate the call. Lakers, Sixers, the rivalry renewed with LeBron playing for the Lakers, with probably Paul George, maybe one more guy. And the Sixers find a way to get there with Joel and Ben leading the way and maybe one more guy. Maybe it's Markelle. Who knows? Nah, actually, I can't go there. But That would be fun. Can I imagine it? Yeah, I can. Is it likely? Probably not. Matt in Bethlehem. What's up, Matt?
Yo, what's going on?
How you doing, buddy?
Pleasant evening to you guys.
You too.
That was a great call by Smith. But yeah, okay, so touching on LeBron James, I don't particularly watch the NBA. I'm more of an NHL guy. But I'm already liking hearing about the Sixers and the vibe that's growing with them. I think it would bring somebody who's not particularly a basketball fan. It would kind of bring them more into the sport.
Oh, there's no doubt about that, Matt. If LeBron James came here, I think everyone would pay it. I mean, the most famous athlete in the world currently would be here in Philadelphia. Everyone would kind of jump on, even if you are more of a casual, just sports fan or fan like you are more of hockey.
Yeah, it would totally make people, I would be more interested even just to see, himself, see what he's going to do or something like that.
There's no doubt. I mean,
the character himself.
Yeah, it transcends the sport because the guy's that good and he's that famous. Matt, you're the czar of sports. What are you changing?
All right. I know logistically it's impossible, but I would like to see hockey go to almost like the tryout, the way the IIHF does it with the 100, the wider rinks.
So explain those to me. How much bigger are they?
NHL rink is 200 foot long across. It's 85 feet. In the Olympics, where they play, in Europe, they're 200, long, but they're 100 wide.
No, it's a pretty significant difference. I do like the Olympic game. It's wide open. It's fun. The only thing I have this year is I wish the NHL players were there because I always find that a fun part of the Winter Olympics. The NHL players, was it 4 years ago? Maybe it was the one before the last one, but they had the USA Canada gold medal game. It was on like a Sunday afternoon. I was into that. I'm not a big hockey guy, but the Olympics and the NHL players were there. That was fun. 888-729-9494, pound 949 for your AT&T and Verizon wireless cell phones. The Jason Kelce Tour continues. He's going to be in Parade this weekend. We'll tell you about where and what he's going to be doing on the other side. And coming up at 9, we'll talk to Matt Gelb, The Athletic, from down in Clearwater on all things Philadelphia Phillies. Do you want LeBron James in Philadelphia as a Sixer? I do. And if you don't, you're just a crazy person. We'll talk about it. Sports Radio 94 WIP. On a Friday night. Joe Giglio hanging out with you. Sports Radio 94 WIP. Matt Gelb, The Athletic, joins us at 9 o'clock down in Clearwater. The Phillies had a game today. It was on WIP this afternoon. You should be listening all day. And if you're not, that's on you. But the game was on today. Phillies lost. I think the Phillies lost. It shows how much I pay attention to the scores in spring training. I think they lost the game. We'll talk to Matt about the game, really more what he's seen down there in Clearwater. Gabe Kapler, the Arrieta rumors, all that coming up. Top of the 9 o'clock hour. We've been talking a lot tonight about LeBron James, the idea of him coming to the Sixers. The rumors are out there. They've been out there. They're not going to stop either. This will just continue and go on and on and on until we get to the summer. And then, of course, we have our 4-pack of tickets. Philly Sports Car and Collectibles. So this is a really good one. And I think every prize we have here is a fun one because they're prizes. Like they're giveaways. But this one, if you are a collector, I know a lot of people are collectors. I used to be when I was young. I was the biggest baseball card kid out there. I used to have my parents take me to, I don't know if they still do this, but they used like in the malls by my house, they used to have baseball card shows maybe once a month, and I would flock to those things.
And it's a really cool show, too.
The one that we're going to take away for?
Yeah.
Have you been to it?
Yeah, I think over the summer they had another one like it. And it's really cool stuff. You see it's insane amount of cards, like cards you think you'd never see, autographed Wentz stuff, which I thought was cool, a bunch of old pennants and stuff from like the 50s with the St. Louis Browns or whatever they were. What was the baseball team?
St. Louis Browns. They became the Baltimore Orioles.
Right. And pictures from that and old. It's a really cool event.
It is.
For baseball nerds, all kinds of nerds.
So we have the tickets to give away. Philly Sports Car Collectible Show next weekend. Valley Forge Casino. You're the sports czar. You make a change. If it's a good one, we'll get you in the mix. Any change you want. You're the czar. You get to pick it. Any change in sports you want to make, we'll let you do that. And it was a couple of years ago, I did a show at Rob Cherry on a Saturday down in Atlantic City, and it was like a national sports card show. It was crazy. It was the Atlantic City Convention Center, and I've never been there, I mean, I've driven past it a million times, but it's a really big place. I've never been inside. And it was just tables and tables and tables and rows of cards. And actually, I'm having a flashback. I believe Buster Douglas, someone famous, a boxer, sat down with us and cursed on the air. It was a weird day. And I bought like 500 baseball cards for $1, and we were opening the pack on the air. It was fun. Want to be part of that? You give us your czar point, and we'll get you in the mix. Let's talk to Alex, who's down in Baltimore. What's up, Alex?
Hey, Joe. I haven't talked to you since the Super Bowl. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How you been?
Good. Yeah, I'd be all in on LeBron. I mean, I'd like to see the Sixers pull it off, maybe without him, because you wouldn't want to hear like the caller a couple callers ago just saying you'd like to see him do it on your own, you know. But a lot of times watching them, and this team is so young and talented, but at the same time can be frustrating because that game should have never came down to that at the end there. The turnovers, the sloppy, the 24-second violation. There were so many turnovers down the stretch. The Sixers' foul shooting was terrible, and then that guy had a career night, and they just had mental lapses on defense, forgetting where this guy is. So I think those are the things where LeBron would clean up, coach on the floor, basically holding them accountable because they need that veteran presence to basically, you know, when you have a team down, you got to take advantage. And they let teams hang around too much, and the turnovers on the offensive end, they're just really sloppy with the ball.
They are, and they're lucky last night they were playing a bad team. That's really, the Bulls are tanking. They had to actually actively try to lose that game. They did. I'm glad the Sixers won it, Alex. But, yeah, that's the kind of game, and that's the kind of the moments they have that probably is going to cost them a playoff series or certainly games in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I think they try to force too much to Embiid. They're just it's just so many times they try to force things that aren't there, and I think LeBron would clean up a lot of that. So I'm all for it. I'd be all for that.
How about your czar point? You're the czar of sports, Alex. What are you doing?
I was going to say like these pending changes with baseball, but that's kind of vague, and who knows what's going to happen with that. Your texter that talked about public financing of stadiums, the Kami got on going down the same road about, with all this controversy with the national anthem and players kneeling, et cetera. And I'd be all for just eliminating the Star Spangled Banner completely. And then you wouldn't have Fergie butchering it. And you wouldn't
that's a good thing. No Fergie butchering it, but I'm all for that.
But I think what I'm basically saying is, like, you have, like, as a veteran, our tax dollars are going to the Pentagon is, paying the NFL. So that's our tax dollars to have these pregame ceremonies, yep. And it's been going on for years. And there's a difference between supporting the troops and kind of being like propagandized on bad policy. And as a veteran, I just want to watch football. I just want to watch sports. I don't want to be exposed to all the politics outside of that.
Yeah, I like that one, Alex. You think about it. Back in the past, we didn't have this, and some of it obviously was because no one was kneeling. There was no protest. There was no demonstration during the anthem, but also it wasn't as big of a deal because you didn't have the flag, you didn't have the giant flag on the field. Exactly what you're saying. It wasn't always like this.
And the flyovers, look how much I was in the Air Force. It costs a lot of money to put those. So it's kind of like a form of welfare that we're paying for to basically. I would do away with it.
I'm with you. I like that, and we'll get you in the mix there. It is a form of propaganda, and the league use it. You know why? Because the NFL, and this is, I'm sure, part of the reason why they were so upset about what's happened the last couple of years with kneeling and the NFL wants you to think of them as America. Like, they want you to think the old baseball America apple pie thing. That's what the NFL wants to be now. They want your average American man to say, I love football and I love America, and put those two things together. So, and that's fine if you love those two things, but there really is no reason for the flyovers. There's no reason for the flag takes up the field. And you just heard, that was a veteran telling us that. I agree with that. Mike in Tennessee. What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Hey, the whole LeBron thing, obviously I'd be in favor of it. The thing I'm curious about is, there's been comments made about how, it would just be that much more satisfying to win, without bringing him in. When Andy Reid lost 3 straight NFC Championship games, was anybody complaining about him bringing in a top 3 wide receiver of all time to get over the hump?
Nope, they were cheering for it.
And our guy Jack there, and I'm not, attacking him, but he made the comment about how he'd rather see him win without LeBron But if I'm not mistaken, in the trust tree, he also made the comment when Wentz first got hurt that he almost would like to see them lose so that the Eagles' first Super Bowl wasn't with Foles.
Well, listen, you know what? We know Mike is a loyal listener here, Jack, because he mentioned the trust tree.
Trust tree is a special place.
Mike, you're right about that.
But Mike is going out of the trust tree to attack the key member of the trust tree.
But we're all in the trust tree, right? Can't you we be open in the trust tree?
Yeah,
you can be open inside the trust tree.
This is heartfelt discussion. This isn't attacks.
Right, and plus also, it's only the three of us here. No one else is listening.
Yeah, no one else is listening.
It's just us. It's a trust tree. Mike, I think you're spot on with this. I think you've unveiled something inside the trust tree that needed to be unveiled. This is a good point by you, Mike.
I mean, maybe we got a little bit of Jack Bayless going on here. I'm not sure.
You know what? I've long thought that's Jack's path one day, to be Philadelphia's Bayless, but I didn't want to put that on him. But you know what? I'm glad you did. Mike, what's your czar point? What do you want to change?
I don't know how popular this would be, but me personally, I'm putting a 15-second pitch clock in baseball.
Ooh. You know what? I think at some point here, Mike, they're going to go to 20, probably next year, because they've been using that in the minor leagues. 15 would be fast. That might be a little too fast for me. We'll get you on hold, Mike. But I don't think we're going to have baseball without a pitch clock for much longer. I heard Rob Manfred did an interview. I forget where I was listening to it. Maybe he might have done it on ESPN radio somewhere. Or he might have been at the Sloan Analytics conference. He talked recently, Rob Manfred. And, it was, I think, maybe on an ESPN station somewhere. Anyway, Rob Manfred, Commissioner of Baseball, talked about the changes that were made to this year. Because we talked about the other night, the pace of play changes. It's changed now. And now they have shorter commercial breaks, and you only have 6 mound visits. They made some smaller changes for this year. He didn't put the pitch clock in for this year. And my take is that he's giving the players a chance to speed the game up themselves. And if they don't, that pitch clock's coming in. And I know a lot of you might hate it, and you might hate the idea of a pitch clock in baseball. I think by 2019, we're going to have a pitch clock in baseball. That's the way I look at it. Let's talk to Tim in Pottstown. Hey, Tim.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself, man?
Good. What's up?
Hey, I'm going to start off like this. LeBron is the best player in the NBA. Hands down. He's the best player in the NBA. But I would enjoy the championship more taking out the GOAT the same way we did Tom Brady. You know, I would enjoy the championship a lot better, you know, that way. And then also, too, I mean, the whole process thing, you know, building the teams that we have now, you know, all the different trading and getting to where we are now, to then give all the praise to LeBron James. You know what I mean? Because that's what we're going to hear. Oh, well, the Sixers only won because of LeBron James. You know what I mean? And you know, I don't want that. I want to win. I want to win the championship, working hard and building the team the way we've been doing for these last couple of years.
You know, I've heard a lot of that, Tim. And my response is this: there's no guarantee they're going to win, though.
You know what? But wait a minute. But you're right. But see, here's the thing: there's no guarantee for any of these teams. You know, going through the draft, having to draft their team. This team we have now, we built this team. Just like the Warriors, they built that team.
But then they added Kevin Durant to the mix.
Well, okay. Well, maybe that was a bad example, but we're building this team. We're building, and we're actually getting better. And the fans are starting to fill up the stadium, and the sales of the ticket prices are going up already. And, you know, we haven't even did much. We haven't even gotten to where we really want to be. And so now, you know, I'm a big LeBron fan, and to now just spoil it all by, it's like a cheat code. You play a game, and you get the cheat code, and then you conquer the game. No, I want to go through the grind. We've been sitting here waiting all these years, you know, putting these pieces together, the Ben Simmons, the Embiids, and then now to just, you know what I mean, bring LeBron in, and it's just like,
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I think a lot of people, Tim, I think a lot of people feel the way you do. I don't think you're the only one out there that has that kind of thought that, yeah, LeBron's, you know, no, you're not taking anything away from LeBron. It's more of the feeling here. It doesn't bother me, but I hear you, Tim. I hear you.
Here's another point. LeBron James is that good. He's almost like Mike. And it's just like when he enters a room, he just sucks the air out of it.
He does.
You know what I mean? And I don't want that. I think these guys on this team now They're so humble, they're so young, and they're so hungry. And although they have their off days because they're young, just like the Eagles, they're so young. But look at what we were able to do with this young team.
You know what, though? I'll tell you this. I'll put it this way, and I understand your point. I'll wear an oxygen mask. There's no air in the room, but I'm in the NBA Finals. I'll wear it. Tim, you're the sports czar. What are you changing?
You know what? I got to make the NBA tough again. The NBA is so soft. I mean, I'm 30 years old. I got to see Michael Jordan and Hakeem and all of them. I mean, I was really young, but I do kind of remember. But the NBA is just so soft with the flopping and the penalties. I want to see the NBA tough again because the NBA is losing a lot of ratings. I mean, they changed a little bit because now you got high-scoring games and stuff like that, but make the NBA tough again, man. Not like street ball, prison ball, but make it tough again, man.
You know what? Sometimes and Tim, we're about the same age, and I remember those days. Like, I loved baseball was my first favorite sport. Then basketball was, then football. And I used to love, like, the early 90s playoffs when Jordan was going up against the Knicks and the Hornets were coming up with Alonzo and LJ. But I go back now and watch those games. Sometimes we do this. We romanticize the past. This game's kind of stunk.
Exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, no,
those games were bad.
They were. No, but I know it.
Knicks with Pat Riley, where he just beat the crap out of teams.
I loved watching the games. But I was a kid, and I loved basketball. But the scores were like the Heat and Knicks when they played in those playoff series in the 90s. The scores of those games were like 82-79 the fourth quarter.
Who doesn't love a good 78-75 four-quarter NBA game with Allen Iverson playing iso ball? It's really fun basketball.
It wasn't good. We loved the players though. They were pretty good group of stars, like in terms of personality. I don't love this group now. Kevin Durant's kind of a weird guy. Westbrook's a weird guy. They're not, and Harden's aloof. Those guys were kind of cool. But sometimes I miss that too. But the game's wide open now. They shoot it. They're great athletes. I'll keep it the way it is. 888-729-9494. That is how you get aboard. We'll come back. All your phone calls. You want LeBron James? I'll check the Twitter poll when we get back. Last time I checked it was 79 yes, 21% said no to LeBron to the Sixers. Driving me crazy. We'll also bring on our guy, Matt Gelb of The Athletic, covering the Phillies now over there for the new, is it a publication, website, app? I don't know. It's good. And they cover the Phillies along with everything else. We'll talk to Matt about the beginning of the Grapefruit League, spring training, and maybe the latest on some Jake Arrieta rumors. That's coming up on the other side. Sports Radio 94 WIP. 9:01 on a Friday night. Sports Radio 94 WIP. Joe Giglio hanging out with you. We have Jack Fritz behind the glass, John Johnson on the updates, and of course you guys on the lines. 888-729-9494, pound 9494 on your AT&T Verizon wireless cell phones. We'll get back to all your phone calls and get you in the mix for our prize in just a few minutes. Right now, though, we have to go out to the Sports Colleton guest line, bring on a guest who's down there in Clearwater, Florida, about 9 o'clock each night. We've been doing a little Clearwater check-in, latest on the Phils. Well, today, as you heard on WIP, was the start of the Grapefruit League, the first exhibition game, at least one against another team, because they played a University of Tampa, I believe, yesterday. But today against the Blue Jays in Dunedin. And Matt Gelb, who now writes for The Athletic, which we'll learn all about and hear all about in just a couple minutes, was there, covered it, wrote about it. Matt, Joe Giglio with you. How you doing tonight, man?
Hey, Joe. It's great. It hasn't rained a bit since I've been down here. It's been about the best weather start to a spring that I think I've ever seen. A lot of people down here can't remember one. It's been pretty good.
Well, now I'm jealous because it's rainy and cold up here, Matt. But I think we could find some common ground on baseball. And I think we could use what you said there about the weather, and I think maybe that's also a feeling around the Phillies. I know you've been covering them for a time. You went away for a little bit, but then you came back and you're covering the team again, and now for The Athletic. I can't remember in the last 4 or 5 years, maybe. I mean, I guess 2012, there was still a thought like they're going to come back and do it again, but it's been a while now since there was excitement and expectation and a good feeling, I think, among the fans in a camp like this.
Yeah, I think it's just the team is young, and they got a taste of it a little bit last year when they went 38-38 in the final 76 games of the season, and they added a pretty big name, Carlos Santana, and, the new staff has created a different vibe here. I mean, it is a younger coaching staff, it's a younger manager. They have some different ideas. It's a young roster, and look, I mean, is contention realistic for them this year? Probably not, but you're going to see a better brand of baseball, and I think everyone can agree that it is generally moving in the right direction. It's just taking a while for them to get there.
Yeah, and those guys are here now, and I think that's the fun part about it. You mentioned all the young players, and there's even more coming, and you could dream on this thing a little bit. Now, they don't have all the pitching they need yet, but it does feel like, Matt, they're going to throw out a pretty good lineup every night, and it might be mixed and matched, and it might be different guys at different positions on a certain night, but really 1 through 8, they could have a pretty deep lineup of some really good hitters, but then really not too many bad ones.
Yeah, I think the best analogy that people have said to me down here reminds them of 2005 or 2006, where, again, it was a younger group that you started to see get to the majors, and they could hit. And this team is going to hit. I don't think there's any question about that. This team is going to hit. They hit in the second half of last year. Let's say you put Carlos Santana, near the top of the lineup, maybe number 2. You put Rhys Hoskins behind him. Those are 2 guys who are getting on base. They also hit for power. You got guys behind them like Herrera and Nick Williams. They're hoping for a bounce-back season from Maikel Franco. There's a lot of potential in this lineup, and I don't think there's any doubt that they're going to score some runs. I think the biggest question is whether they're going to be able to get enough pitching to stay in games. They're going to have to out-hit teams. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
No, there isn't. And right now, we're talking about Matt Gelb of The Athletic down in Clearwater. Right now, the pitching beyond Aaron Nola is suspect, and we'll see if those guys can rise up and someone could jump out and become consistent. But you wrote about Aaron Nola this morning. I read at The Athletic, and I'm a big fan of his, and I thought last year he kind of became, and you use this term, what do we talk about when we talk about Nola? Is he an ace? What's an ace? I thought he became something like a secret ace last year, where you watch him every game, every 5th day, and you're like, he really is that good, but I think it's going to take some time nationally and probably a full season of it for people to put him in that category. What do you think of Nola after doing the piece and really just covering him last year?
Yeah, and that was, I think, what I was trying to challenge people, and I think challenge myself, was how do we look at him? And look, he only threw, and I say only, it was 168 innings last year. He missed about a month of time with a disabled, a little bit of a back injury, but you're not going to anoint someone an ace after 160 innings last year, and the 2 seasons before there was ups and downs. There were some bright spots, some low points, but what we saw every five nights last year was really a guy who was figuring things out. And you remember that he was the 7th overall pick in the draft, and there were labels put on him then that he was just sort of, he was a safe bet. He was a guy who would be a mid-rotation starter, and maybe that's all he'll end up being. And still, even then, he's a valuable player. But I think people inside the clubhouse and people inside their front office have a perception of him as being more than that. And I think the industry is starting to catch up to that. And look, in the end, Nola's going to have to prove it again. If he goes out there and gets close to 200 innings this year and repeats a lot of the things he did last year with his strikeout rate, his walk rate, not giving up a lot of home runs, keeping his team in a game pretty much every night, then I think you start to hear him in those conversations. And I think he's starting to challenge some of those labels.
He is, and he's a talented guy. And you mentioned a 7th overall pick in 2014. Matt Gelb of The Athletic with us. Matt, we've done about 5-6 minutes of talk here. We haven't yet mentioned the manager. That's against the rules here because Gabe Kapler is too interesting not to talk about. What have you thought of his first camp, and what are your impressions of Gabe Kapler? Because he's different. He is energetic. I think there's been some people that have talked to me or on social media and compared him a little bit to Chip Kelly. And the one thing I say about that, even though there's maybe some things there that are similar, Gabe Kapler played the game for a long time. He's been part of clubhouse. He was part of player development with the Dodgers. So although he's off the walls, he does know what it is like to be the guy that gets the management from a manager. Like, he gets the other side of it, which I always thought Chip Kelly didn't. What are your thoughts so far on Gabe?
Yeah, and I can't speak to too much what the inner workings of what Chip Kelly was like, but my perception is that, yes, he is obviously like Chip in that he has different ideas and he's approaching common things and challenging the way that things have always been done. But the difference to me, I think, with Gabe Kapler is that he really has put a premium on developing relationships with his players, with people in the organization. And I think in the Chip Kelly era, there were a lot of guys, especially in the locker room, who felt ostracized, who felt like it was Chip Kelly's way or you're out, and there were a lot of guys who were subject to that. I think Gabe Kapler so far has shown that he cares about making sure his players feel included, that people around the team feel included. And look, it's February whatever it is, and everybody's happy right now because it's the second week of spring training. It's a very optimistic time of year in general. Gabe Kapler hasn't had to have any adversity or any challenges yet, and I think we'll really get a feel for him when he encounters that for the first time, when he has a player who either isn't performing or disobeys him, or whether the team goes through a challenging stretch. But right now, I think he's hit all the right tones. He's a very positive guy that has appealed to a lot of the younger players in the clubhouse, and everyone's happy right now. We'll see what happens in the summer.
Matt, of all the changes, and I know you just wrote, I haven't got a chance to read the whole thing yet because we've been on the air, but I saw your piece came out after the game today against the Blue Jays about the shifts in the outfield. That's one thing that's probably going to be a little bit more extreme or different about the Phillies as we move forward. The way they were doing bullpen sessions earlier, the 8-man bullpen. Of all the different baseball changes that have kind of come in here with Gabe Kapler now leading the way along with this front office, which one is the most interesting to you so far?
I think the most interesting to me so far is what they're doing with the catchers, and they're really thinking about it in a different way. And that's not to say anything the Phillies are doing here is truly revolutionary. It's just that it hasn't been done in the Phillies organization ever. And there are a lot of progressive teams who have come up with some different ideas. For example, the Dodgers, the Astros, even the Yankees you could include in there. And the Phillies have sort of been playing catch-up to some of these teams. And this spring, though, what they've been doing with the catchers and focusing on the way they receive the ball, the relationships with the pitchers, their game calling, they've just sort of started from scratch there on a lot of different things. And look, it's an area where they need to improve. It's a very young area on the team. Jorge Alfaro is going to have to be on the team. He's out of minor league options. He's not a finished product by any means. Andrew Knapp, also young, also could be on the team. They liked what they saw from him last year, but there were still some issues in his defense. And they have a young pitching staff, and pair those with young catchers, and you got some problems there. So they've thought a lot of different ways about how they're going to teach their catchers how to try to steal some strikes. We call it framing, presentation, whatever you want to call it, but they've been pretty much dead last in baseball by different metrics, whatever you want to use. They've not been very good in that area because it was never really stressed in this organization at all. And really what you're seeing is the front office has had some of these ideas for the last few years, but they had bigger problems to deal with. The fact that the roster just simply wasn't competitive enough, not even near there. But now that they're getting closer, they're starting to stress some of the smaller things. And I think the catching is one area where you're really going to see a lot of changes.
It sounds like what they're talking about when they have value at the margins on their Be Bold T-shirt. Sounds like that kind of thing right there. Matt, last one for you. There's been a lot of rumors out there and a lot of thought of the Phillies maybe adding, and you mentioned the pitching staff being young and not good enough right now, adding a guy like Jake Arrieta, who's still out there, obviously has a connection to almost everyone in this Phillies front office. What's the latest you hear, and what's your gut on this? Do you think there's a realistic chance that Arrieta could land with the Phillies?
I think there's a realistic chance. I just don't think it's a great chance. I don't think much has changed, really. The Phillies have maintained contact with Scott Boras throughout this winter. There was a recent report suggesting just that. I mean, their stance hasn't changed. They would be open to a deal with Jake Arrieta if it was a shorter-term deal. And I still think that Jake Arrieta is going to get a deal of at least 4 years, maybe 5 years. And I think the Phillies have been used a lot this winter as potential leverage for other teams. Look, they're a team that is young, that has a roster that's up and coming, and they have a lot of money to spend. And other agents and teams know that. And sometimes, they can use the Phillies to try to drum up a little interest elsewhere, put some pressure on other teams. My gut is that the Phillies are going to let this thing play out. They will not add a pitcher before opening day, but that doesn't close the door on them adding a pitcher come July. I think two of the bigger developments this winter involve the Tampa Bay Rays and the Kansas City Royals, who seem like they're really shedding. And who's to say come July that Chris Archer or Danny Duffy aren't available on a potential trade? And if the Phillies are hovering around 500 near the end of July, I think you'd see them try to make a big deal for a pitcher. But my gut is that they're going to let this thing play out for the first half of the season.
Chris Archer and Aaron Nola, we'd be cooking with gas there. Matt, enjoying the work so far at The Athletic along with your team. Keep it up. And let's do this again soon, all right?
Thank you, Joe.
There he goes. Matt Gelb of The Athletic. A Chris Archer trade coming in July. How about that? Maybe Danny Duffy. I'm all in. 888-729-9494. And I love all these new things they're doing. They put it on their T-shirt. Value at the margins. It's that extra little thing that every team should think. It's just smart. It's just, the Phillies are smart now. That's good.
Honestly, when Gelb brought up the whole catchers getting strikes,
you couldn't handle that.
Yeah, this is the perfect drop.
I think it moved.
It did.
You know, it's
I'm
like
all in on the catchers getting calls for their pitchers.
That's a double entendre because literally you want the glove to move the ball, right? You're trying to frame a strike.
I'm telling you, Joe, I've watched too much Washington Nationals baseball, and they always get strikes that are balls, and it is infuriating.
Yeah, the smart teams do it, and the Phillies are now a smart team. Now they get the right players, smart players and good ones. This thing will take off. 888-729-9494. Let's grab one right here. Let's talk to Mike in Marlton. What's up, Mike?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good, man. What's going on?
Nothing much. I just wanted to bring up a point. I do understand LeBron is one of probably the best of this generation, but I think that we should probably try and do something more realistic, like bringing in Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I think that it would really work because we're such a young team, and he's only 24, and LeBron will probably only be here for 1 or 2 years. And when you think about it, long term, you probably bring more titles with someone like Giannis and having him around a bunch of young talent like Simmons and Embiid. And we might even get the number 1 pick from the Lakers this year, so you can even bring in Bagley. I think it's just a better scenario. I mean, it's a little far out there, but I think that's a good chance.
Well, look, I'd love it. And actually, there was a story, Mike. I appreciate the phone call. It was a story that apparently Joel Embiid at the All-Star game last weekend was trying to recruit the Greek freak, Antetokounmpo, to come play for the Sixers. Here's the one problem with that whole thing, though. He just signed a contract. He signed a 4-year, $100 million contract. Giannis isn't going to be a free agent until after the 2021 season. Sixers, they're impatient enough. They want to make the playoffs this year. They traded for a guy like Trevor Booker, and they signed Bellinelli. Like, they want to win now. The Sixers aren't waiting until 2021 to sign a player.
Would you cut Trevor Booker to sign Ersan Ilyasova?
No, I don't like Ilyasova.
Yeah, but Embiid played his best basketball with Ersan, and Trevor Booker is a horrible fit next to Joel Embiid.
Do you want to know why I don't like Ilyasova?
Why?
When he was playing at his best with the Sixers, maybe last November, December, I took a phone call here from someone who legitimately tried to tell me that he was the team's MVP. Not Embiid.
Was it Marcus Hayes that called him?
It was not Marcus Hayes. It was a guest. It was a caller. Maybe it was him. But I don't like Ilyasova. I mean, to answer your question, would I make that swap, Ilyasova for Booker? Probably. But, nah, I'm not in the mood. I don't want Ilyasova back. 888-729-9494. We get back. All your phone calls on LeBron. You could be the sports czar. We'll get you in the mix for a 4-pack of tickets to the Philly Sports Card and Memorabilia Show, the collectible show. And apparently I got a texter here who's like laying the smackdown that I have to watch Game of Thrones at some point. So we'll hear for what that is. And I'm sure everyone here will bombard me with why I have to watch Game of Thrones, even though I already said I'm not in. 888-729-9494 on Sports Radio 94 WIP. What is this? Is this Game of Thrones?
It's time, Joe.
So is the text board lighting up? Is that what I'm hearing? The text board is lighting up and people saying I have to watch Game of Thrones?
Text board, tweeters, John Johnson.
It appears this is an intervention of such.
That's what it feels like. It feels like I'm just...
You're being cornered and you need to come to terms with some things.
Well, like the weird part is to give people a visual. Like you guys are like on two sides of me. Like you
You're literally being cornered.
I am. And I just feel like I'm actually scared now.
And Mike from South Philly is chiming in.
John, I know you love the show.
To make the perfect case for you, and I know it's difficult, especially with kids, because there's not enough hours in the day, and when the day is up and you finally have time to yourself, you don't want to do anything.
Yeah, I just want to like lay there.
Right, you want to lay there even if it's in silence, not doing anything. But I have found that, especially when it's either here or doing games, like I like to watch it late at night, whether it's at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, and you watch one episode at a time. If you get a day off, you can binge watch it, watch 2 or 3 at a time. But I will say, it might be the the deepest I've fallen into a television series before. That it's so well written, and the acting is so well done, and the casting is superb, that you fall so deep into the plot that you become addicted to it, and you can't wait for the very next episode.
Listen to this show. Oh, come on, then you're ready to
and
go.
the score is very good as
Yeah,
well.
obviously. I think part of it, what John just said there, part of my problem is I have an addictive personality with TV shows I like, so I'm kind of afraid to get into it. Like
so when you call out for 2 or 3 days in a row, we'll understand.
So I got into Lost back in the day. I loved Lost.
It's like Lost on steroids.
I'm not saying that it's not better. It probably is. And Lost kind of got weird at the end. But I was into it. The same thing happened with Breaking Bad. So like I know the way I am, and I don't have the time, and then I'm going to be depressed because I'm like 2 seasons I want to watch. I don't know if I can do that.
I mean, both me and Glenn Macnow are both late adapters to the Game of Thrones movement. Now we're all in. It's our favorite show of all time. John Johnson and Tom Kelly, very preeminent.
TK, I used to listen to TK do shows about it.
TK and Mike from South Philly had like the nerdiest talk about Game of Thrones like 3:30 in the morning, and I was lost.
We had, I think, Facebook Live on the WIP page. They did like a Game of Thrones
full podcast.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The texters aren't happy, Joe.
All right, what are they
Josh from Springfield says, "Sorry, Joe. Jack is spot on with Game of Thrones. I have a wild 2-year-old son who's a handful as well, so I don't have time either. You have to make time, Joe. You have to make time. God is transcendent. It's the Joel Embiid of television. Is responsible for me meeting his wife. He met his wife through Game of Thrones, Joe. And you have the luxury of marathoning through it straight through. This is not a request. Watch the damn show. You'll thank us later."
I have a thought, okay? Because I don't think I can make I don't think I can make a proper amount of time at home. What if, when Phillies season starts, we have a bunch of TVs in here, get the Phillies game on one TV,
No.
Game of Thrones on the other?
No.
Why?
This
I'm going to be here waiting for the game.
Here's the problem with Game of Thrones. It is a show where it's so detail-oriented that you have to watch, like, you can't gaze across the television while watching.
So you need not watching the Phillies and watching Game of Thrones?
No, you need utmost dedication to watch a show like Game of Thrones.
So what if I just don't watch any of the Phillies games and then do Final Out? Come on, talk about Game of Thrones.
You could just read the box score and you just say, "I'm sorry, I was watching Game of Thrones." Everybody would understand.
Maybe. And I'll say it's John Johnson's fault if I do that.
It's not a fault, though. It's a good thing.
No,
it's only positive.
Not doing our jobs around here is not a good thing.
Joe, come on. You're a baseball man.
So I don't have to watch the games, just pretend?
Right.
All right.
They believe you.
We'll see. Maybe. I'll get into it. I'll give you guys a maybe. It's probably a no, but maybe. Let's talk to Roy, who's in Philadelphia. What's up, Roy?
Yeah. I'm having a problem with all these hypocritical people that's talking about they wouldn't want LeBron here. Are you serious? I mean, you figure that in sports, you always try to get the better guy to come in and give you a better chance to win.
Of course.
I mean, look, we can go back to Cliff Lee, Roy Halladay. I mean, these guys were brought in to do what they did. So how can you say that you wouldn't want LeBron on your team? Are you serious? It's just people that just really don't like LeBron. But why not? Because he left Cleveland. And see, you know what people don't understand is that you want to win a championship. A lot of times, it's not just about the money. You want to win a championship. So what do? You go somewhere that you stand a chance to win a championship. Okay, so you get your championship, and you go back to where you originated, and then you win them championship.
Yep, you said you would bring one back, and you brought one back.
You know what I mean? It's just that simple. So I just don't get it that they're being hypocritical, if you ask me.
I agree, and I just think it's silly. Like, if you have one of the best players of all time, you take that chance.
Yes. You had a guy there that said he's a LeBron fan, 100%. Well, why would you not want him on your team?
Crazy people. Roy, we got a lot of crazy people around here, Roy.
You're talking about a young, let them do it by themselves. If we let them do it by themselves, we don't know when that's going to get done.
It might never. Joel Embiid's a great player, but you know what? Patrick Ewing was a great player. Like, there's a lot of great players that never win anything.
And let me give you one more point, right? Now, you figure the chemistry that the Eagles had from all these guys that they brought in from different teams, okay? Why can't the Sixers have the same mentality? Like, it doesn't have to be about LeBron.
Sure, and already, Roy, LeBron and Ben Simmons are good friends. They're in the same agency. They're taking pictures together. He might embrace it. He might embrace the whole thing.
Exactly. I don't think he's trying to come here and overtake anything. Philly's not the town to allow you to do that. You know what I mean? So I think that he would actually embrace the team and become like everybody else did in the Eagle organization.
Yeah, I'd love it, Roy. The epicenter of the NBA would be here in Philadelphia. Roy, you're the czar of sports for a day. What are you doing?
I'm changing I'm computerizing first downs and stuff like that. The same way they have that invisible line, I'm taking it out of the hands of the refs, man, because it's too much controversy about this and that. Like, I'm starting to go into the century where everything else is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, Roy. I like that, and I always feel like we're so technologically advanced with some things, and then other things we do, it's like, how are they still using the chain gang in the NFL? Like, how are we determining first downs by an arbitrary spot with some dude pulling out a 10-yard chain? It feels crazy.
Yep.
It feels nuts. Roy, we appreciate the phone call. All the technology we have, yeah, we do some things way backwards. It is weird. The better we get, sometimes I think the worse we get with technology. Let's talk to Rhonda down in D.C. Hey, Rhonda.
Hey, what's up, guy? I'm going to take you off the speakerphone. I'm at work, so that's why I take. All righty. Can you hear me?
I got you. What's up tonight?
Okay. All right. Listen, two things. First of all, with LeBron, are you serious? You've got one of the best players of all time who would consider coming to Philadelphia. Snatch him in a heartbeat. He could be a mentor to them young guys. Like you said, Simmons is already snapping pictures with him, and they get along really well. Take those guys under your wing, LeBron, groom them, just like you did Kyrie, even though he decided, well, now I'm too big and I'm smelling myself, so I don't want to be under your tutelage anymore, so I'm going to run the Boston. That's okay, because I think Simmons and Joel Embiid would embrace him. That's my point on LeBron. I'd take him in a heartbeat. My second point would be this. If I were the czar of sports, any sport, or just professional?
Any sport you want to change, Rhonda.
My professional sport is good. Well, my sport is going to be men's college basketball. You're going to pay them guys. You're going to stop with this nonsense. Oh, I'm going to take your championship because you did this. And it's all a bunch of crock anyway. Pay those guys. You're getting paid. The TV stations and they're getting paid.
Oh, they're getting paid a lot, Rhonda. Just wait till next month when the NCAA tournament starts. They're all getting a lot.
Thank you. You've got the what is it? March Madness.
Yep.
Everybody's getting paid, but the players. So let's stop with this nonsense.
It is nonsense.
Let's progress into the 21st century.
Yeah,
Have a good night, Joe.
You too,
Love your
Rhonda.
show.
Always appreciate you calling in. You know what I want to do? Here's my czar change. I want to just blow up the NCAA. Just blow it to smithereens.
It feels like it's about time.
Yeah, today I had the story with Yahoo, and how about our boy Markelle Fultz? What do you get? A couple $1,000, $10,000?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it was him. It was more his agency.
Right, whoever it is. I mean, it's just like
and no one cares because we all accept that it's all pretty much corrupt anyway.
It's totally corrupt. It's every time something else happens at a different campus, you just roll your eyes at this point. It's awful, and the purity of college sports, there is none. They've used to market it that way. They can't even really do that anymore because if they tried, we would all literally laugh at everything they said. I just would blow up the entire thing. Kevin is on the cell. How you doing, Kevin?
Good, man. I just called about the Phillies, and then I'll give you my czar point. I think you got to go get Jake Arrieta. I mean, if you sent the fans a message when you went and got Santana, what was the reason to get Santana? If they're building, they have unlimited amount of money. I don't care if they overpay him for now. It's not going to matter. It's not going to matter how many years are on that deal. Who cares? They're 30th in the league in payroll, so that could really help your lineup. And I don't want to hear about, well, we're going to wait till July and see if we're 500 and then maybe go get somebody else. Just go get the guy now, and it'll really help Aaron Nola. And then my other point in terms of if I was a czar or something, it would be baseball. And I would reduce that baseball season by about 40 games, which they'll never do because they want to have however many people show up to an empty ballpark for bad teams.
Yep.
But if they would reduce that thing by 40 games, you wouldn't see the guys walking to first base and not jogging out fly balls, and you wouldn't have to see a fifth pitcher, every week, and they would be more rested, less injuries. The games would matter more. I think it would be unbelievable.
Well, you know what
the
it would
NFL
do?
is so great.
Yeah, there's less. Sometimes less could be more, and less creates a need for excitement on a minute-by-minute basis. It's interesting, Kevin. I mean, like you said, and we appreciate the call, they're never going to do it. There's no way. I mean, a couple of years ago, there was an idea that maybe they would reduce the season by 8 games to go back, because originally, back in the day, it was only 154 games. But then I think it was 1961, maybe they jumped to 162, whatever, whenever they made the switch. It used to be 154. So it was like, oh, man, we'll go back to that. And you have a couple extra off days. They're not going to do it. The owners aren't giving up Gates. As far as the Arrieta thing, I've been saying the same thing to an extent. Now, I don't care about the Phillies' money year by year. I am with them, though. There's no reason to go 6 years. That's a bad idea.
You know what the underrated part of Arrieta that I was realizing the other night in watching his old NLCS start?
What is it?
Like a complete nerd. He would really help out Nick Pivetta because they have the same-ish kind of mechanics. They both have electric arms, both have really hard curveballs / sliders. They don't really know where it's going early in his career. I see a lot of early Jake Arrieta in Nick Pivetta.
He could be a mentor to the staff. No, I don't think that stuff's overrated. I wouldn't give him 6 years, though. And
no, that's insane.
Yeah, and you know why? Because we say now they have the 30th payroll. At some point, they're going to add other big players. Like the Piper comes, you have to pay the Piper at some point. You can't be paying Jake Arrieta $30 million a year 5 years from now when you're also paying Manny Machado, maybe Bryce Harper, maybe this guy, maybe that guy. Reese Hoskins will need an extension and make a lot of money. Eventually, the payroll will go up and up and up if these young players are good. So, yeah, 3 years, 4 I'd entertain, but 3 years for Arrieta, go get him. 888-729-9494, pound 9494 on your AT&T Verizon wireless cell phones. As we come back, I saw this, I got to tell you about it. Next week, you're going to see Howie Roseman, Merrill Reese, Mike Quick, all on a TV show. No, not Game of Thrones. Another one. This one I watch. Actually, it's really good. We'll tell you what it is.
You watched it? Okay, we'll talk about it later.
It's a good show. I'll tell you about it next on the other side. Sports Radio 94 WIP. .943 on a Friday night. Joe Giglio hanging out with you. Sports Radio 94 WIP. WIP. You guys are beating me up on Twitter over this Game of Thrones thing. Beating me up. Listen, I don't have time to watch it. Seems like a nice show. I just don't have the time. And when I do get time to watch
You say nice show. That's so derogatory.
Because I'm just not sold. I'm not sold on it.
I like most of your takes. This is a bad take.
I'm just not sold. I'm not sold on the hype. I feel like it's a little overhyped. I'm sure it's a good show. That's sincere. But I will give you a show that I do watch because you know what? It's a half-hour sitcom. I can pull that off. It's on my DVR. I don't have to worry about this 7 seasons nonsense. You know what that is? The Goldbergs. I love the Goldbergs. You don't like the Goldbergs, Jack? Guys probably listen to us right now.
It's the Goldberg.
It's a great show.
Listen,
anyway,
cable TV is just bad.
That's a snob TV.
It is a snob TV. Only Netflix and only premium channels.
Oh, get out of here.
Let's see. What?
This is us? This is us.
This is us has saved cable television. Name another good series. They're all corny. You and Jody Mack, you both love your corny cable television shows.
I don't even watch much TV.
He watches still like Blue Bloods. And
I
go in there and I'm watching him, and he's watching some trash Friday night programming on cable TV.
Yeah, Jody's got TBS up every other day. No, I don't watch any of that. I watch like 3 shows. I watch This Is Us, which, by the way, comes back on Tuesday. I watch The Goldbergs. I watch Modern Family once in a while. That's all I got. All right? Anyway, speaking of The Goldbergs, because I wanted to bring this up so everyone knows out there, guess who's going to be on next week? Howie Roseman, Mike Quick, Merrill Reese. They're all going to be in an episode because obviously Adam Goldberg, who writes the show, grew up around here, big Philadelphia sports fan. So they're doing a whole episode kind of in tribute of the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. And it's going to be a Barry making the Penn Charter high school football team. Anyway, the point is, Mike Quick's going to be in the episode, and Merrill, and Howie.
Maybe that'll save their ratings from a failing show. Sad.
It's not a failing show. But that's a good show. That's disrespectful to it. I mean, that guy listens to our station. Apologize, Jack.
I apologize, Mr. Goldberg.
You're going to get banned by Adam Goldberg.
What if I ban him first?
You could ban him from our show. Adam Goldberg, the writer of the Goldbergs. Anyway, let's talk to Mike in Westchester, who's not banned. What's up, Mike?
Joe, what's going on, Jack? Guys, yeah, Joe, you do need a lot of time to watch Game of Thrones, but it's a great show.
I know. Everyone tells me. Everyone tells me that. I know.
Mike got me hooked on it. I know Mike's from South Philly. I saw a tweet he said to you about your wife. You gotta watch it.
Well, no, he's right. No, he said if she got into the show, that would certainly help, because I'm obviously not home most nights. So when I am home, we got to watch things we both like. That's a good point.
You just don't watch TV. I can understand that. You don't watch a lot of TV to begin with.
Right. I'm here.
or somewhere else, But I got to crack up at the comments by Colin Cowherd. It's just a typical troll, about the Sixers. Commenting that they're going to get blown out by the Celtics. They're swept by. I guarantee you they won't get swept by either of these teams. The Sixers will not be swept. I guarantee it. Whoever they play.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think if they get to the 4 or 5 seed, they'll win the first series, and if they play one of those top teams, I could see them getting a game or two from Boston.
Yes. So could I. I think that's it's definitely just a whiner because his team lost and his boy Brady got going crybaby lost in the Super Bowl, so he's being a little bit of a hater of the city. That's fine. We're used to that though, right? No, I hate us like too. But I got a comment, Joe, on that ridiculous. Do you see it, the New York Daily News, but the underdogs? That's a joke with the Yankees.
It was, and I got to say this. So I listened to the full context of. So their GM, Brian Cashman, he was trying to say something, but it's the newspaper that ran with it the wrong way. So basically his whole thing was, look, the Red Sox won the division last year. We came in second. So I don't care what the experts say. We're still chasing them. We're the underdogs. Obviously, they're not really underdogs. But I get what he was saying. Like, we got to beat them first before we're considered, the top team. But then the newspaper ran with it, and they stole the underdog thing.
No, he took Lane Johnson and Chris Long's basketball. You can't be kidding me with that out there. I'm not blaming Cashman. You're right. But, yeah, they're underdogs. I would say they're not favored because underdog is like they're certainly who they getting Stanton. They got, they just got. I mean,
yeah, they're over under this year. Mike is 94.5 wins. They're not underdogs.
No, but you know what? The Phillies absolutely have to sign a pitcher, Joe. They don't. It's going to be 70 wins again. It will. I don't care what Gabe Kapler said. They will not be 500 if they do not sign another pitcher. I just don't see it. I mean, Nick Pivetta all of a sudden will become he might improve, but just you're asking a lot of guys that are incredibly just unproven and young. I mean, you have, other than Nola and maybe Eichhoff is probably their second best pitcher. That's it. I mean, the last is you don't know what you're going to get. And the other guys, it might be they're just dart throwing.
You don't know. You're right. It puts a lot of pressure on the kids, Mike. And I appreciate. Here's what I think: if they don't sign a pitcher, if they don't get Arrieta, could they be a 77, 78 win team? I think they could because they're going to hit and they're going to have a good bullpen. They're going to pull those starters early, but it does put a lot of pressure. And if you have one injury there, if Nola goes down or something, well, then you're in big trouble. Then you don't have any really reliable starters. But I do think. And look at the way they played in the second half. They were about a 500 team in the second half. They have a better manager, deeper lineup. Santana will make a difference. The bullpen's going to be good. And you have Nola now that hopefully healthy for a full year pitching at a top level. I think they can push for 500 even without Arrieta. Now, if they get him, I think expectations are going to jump pretty high. Steve in Wilmington. What's up, Steve?
2 points in the Czar thing. One on LeBron James. If we do get him, he's a max contract.
Yes.
Embiid's going to be a max. Simmons is going to be a max. Well, who's going to fill out the roster? I mean,
well, two things. I mean, the Heat did this right when they had those guys, and now the Warriors have a bunch of maxes because of how great they are. So that you can go over the cap to sign your own guys. So assuming they kept Dario, let's just use him for an example, they could give him a real contract and just keep going over the cap and pay a luxury tax. So that's a possibility. But your point is it's fair, Steve. They would have to have a lot of guys to round out their bench that make the league minimum.
Which makes me my second point. With the ownership that we have for the 76ers, do you actually think he's going to pay the money?
I have my doubts, Steve. You're right. It's a good point. I do. But here's my take on that. If he's not willing to pay the luxury tax, forget LeBron. Then he should get the heck out of here because at some point, I expect them to be a really good team with at least a couple maxes. Like you said, Simmons and Embiid. So he might be pushing up against that luxury tax, LeBron or not, one day.
Yeah, and add that. I mean, let's face it. He's trying to raise the price of hot dogs.
He is. I'm actually going to the game tomorrow, Steve. I'm sure it's not going to be cheap to get a hot dog.
You know, got that right. And my czar thing is this. You got to hear me out. Especially in the NFL, I'd like to cut 4 teams. The reason being is because the talent level on all the teams is so thin and spread out. You have guys who are playing in NFL and starting who basically shouldn't even be in the league. I mean, you take a look at the Seattle offensive line because they're paying these stars so much money, which goes back to your point about the salary caps. I mean, you get to the point where the talent is getting so thin. I think that the team that can actually hold the talent together has the best chance of winning because after you get past the star players, there's such a drop-off that the quality really goes down.
Yeah, it does really in every sport, Steve. And the NFL is a good example, but it happens in baseball too. And I've heard it before. People always have that idea, like, let's get rid of teams, and then it'll be better competition. And it would. I mean, the theory is correct. The only problem is none of these leagues are ever getting rid of these teams. They just want to bring more teams in because they don't want to get rid of jobs and money and all that kind of stuff. But
that's what my dad used to say about football all the time, by the way.
Get rid of teams?
There's just too many of them. And then it kept expanding.
Was this even before, before they brought the Texans in and all that?
This was pre-Jaguars.
Also like pre-mid-90s.
And then the Jaguars got on and was like, this will never work. And then they went to the AFC Championship or whatever.
In the second year.
Yeah, second year. Like, all right, fine.
Were you a Jaguars guy or a Panthers guy? Because everyone had to pick when they came in.
Neither. I didn't. I was just like, okay, cool. I thought they were the 2 corniest names ever.
Well, they are.
Like, come on.
We're
used to it.
I kind of like the Jaguars when they first came in.
Yeah, I didn't have...
They had Mark Brunell. I was the lefty quarterbacks were cool.
Yes.
I still kind of do.
I don't remember anybody on the inaugural Panthers team. It's probably... They were so
Kerry
bad for
Collins, I guess.
Is that right? Is that where he was?
I think he started there. Then he got in a lot of trouble, and he
did. He kind of got lost and then went to
think there was
Titans.
And the Giants and then the Titans. But Kerry Collins did something, we could probably look it up on the internet, that today... I think he used a racial slur and spit in a guy's face. And
nice.
It was like every other 90s thing. It was like, that was Tuesday. But like now it become a big thing.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I'm surprised that didn't, I don't remember that at all, which is probably...
They get an alcohol problem. Kerry Collins
seriously. Yeah, absolutely.
He bounced around.
Much like maybe possibly, I'm just saying that, Blake Bortles down there in the Jaguars. As an expansion team, it still maybe... kind of sort of happens.
Every once in a while.
Party's a little too hard.
Well, he does. I saw a story today. They might actually go after another quarterback, but they're in a weird spot because he could not pass that physical and they're screwed.
Yeah, like $19 million on the cap for him. I don't know why they decided to hunker down with that. So,
LeBron James, yay or nay?
Oh, yay. Oh, my goodness.
See, I knew you'd be on my side of this.
There's, like, Fritzy has, and there's a lot of people that, I don't know if it's a lot, but there certainly seems like there's 2 sides of this. There's Jack's point where it's like, we're almost there. We just need one more star. Maybe you want to wait around for Fultz or another draft pick or whatever. But we're going to play a game tonight. I'm going to replace LeBron's name with a couple other NBA guys that I think we like. And then it'll only kind of prove my point a little more.
See the take, how it moves or doesn't move?
About LeBron and all of that. And it's just, overall, like, this is what, that's the other half of this. So people that are kind of knocking us like, the process people don't like us. No. This is what the process was all about. You find the whale.
Star players.
Brett Brown and Sam Hinkie literally used the terms elephant hunting in like 2016. Yeah. And also, you'll know when you'll know. Well, we know. This team's really good. There's 2 superstars. There's 2 unicorns on this team. Go get a third one.
And Sam was correct when he said the most efficient way to find an elephant, and the easiest way is the draft. So we got to do everything we can to get high picks. Yeah. So they have 2 elephants.
Did that.
If there's an elephant, like an all-time elephant wants to come here, you open the door to the elephant.
That was the point. And
elephants.
Now he might, according to Zach Lowe and Bill Simmons and everybody that's whispering, they at least get a meeting, right? I still don't honestly believe LeBron will be here.
I think he's going to like,
but they get a meeting.
Imagine this town.
I don't think how does that work with Lonzo Ball and LeBron James?
Oh, I think he's trading the whole family as soon as he gets this.
Right?
Like that, I'm not signing this contract unless the Ball family, the traveling ball circus is out.
Excuse me, we need them to leave, and we need Paul George here too. Thank you.
Yes, that's the way it works. But the idea is just fun, though. Like the LeBron idea is fun.
I think there's a puncher's chance, in my opinion, because they have the same agent as Ben Simmons. They get a meeting.
I think Ben put up the Instagram last week with him and LeBron, and then the caption was the date of the start of free agency. Like there's something going on here.
He's playing with the Sixers on his PS4 and on 2K, and you're just going like, all right, they're just messing with their heads, but maybe they're not.
So you got a little LeBron game coming up tonight. What else are you talking about?
A little bit of LeBron game. Did you know that Kirk Cousins is now Drew Brees? Because that's hilarious. We'll get into that a little bit too. Plus, as a little side topic tonight, because there have been some ridiculous things along the week, and now we don't have to worry about it in Philadelphia sports because we're enjoying it so much. But maybe let's explore the most ridiculous thing that you still think might work in life, in sports, and whatever. It's going to be a fun time.
All right. Thank you to Jack. Thank you to Matt Gelb for gracing sports radio with his presence tonight. And, of course, John Johnson on the updates.